We've got one shot. We've only got one shot. We've got one shot, one shot. Do you feel alive? We've got one shot, one shot. We've got one shot, one shot. Do you feel alive? Get in, get out. You know that we won't back down to feel alive. Waiting for the chance to show the world who we are. We've only got one shot. We've only got one shot. We gotta do it right to feel alive. Waiting for the chance to show the world who we are. We've only got one shot.
Good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to the F1 Creator Series powered by EA Sports. We are back. Hopefully the drivers will feel very refreshed ahead of this evening's racing, which is the Mexico City Grand Prix, and the drivers have one wildcard to contend with. They're not allowed to use any ERS, which should make things, I think, very spicy for all drivers involved, especially at a very difficult track like this. My name is Jess Ball, and I'm going to be your presenter for this evening's proceedings, but I'm not alone, because otherwise I would lose my voice. First of all, in Clipbook Corner, I would like to introduce Josh Richards. And Josh, you were very busy last time out in Monaco. Are you expected to do the same here?
Well, hopefully not. I think I had about 30 or 40 clips last week, so hopefully things can calm down a little bit. But yeah, should hopefully see a lot of action here with the wildcard as well. Probably going to make the cars a little bit closer, especially in the corners. Carrying slightly lower speed, probably going to reduce the effect of dirty air, and that could potentially give an advantage for some better racing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, DRS, I think, is going to be even more important with no overtake being allowed, of course. And I expect all the community in the chats to keep an eye on the drivers to make sure that they don't use any ERS this evening, because they will get told off and get disqualified if they don't. But let's move back to 2 weeks ago where we were last here. Monaco Grand Prix. Alex Gillen took the race victory, and it was a very commanding win over Lonnie Noble, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite a dominant drive from Alex in that feature race. The sprint was a little bit of a different story, picked up some damage and had a bit of a tough time, all of that revolving on that very big crash down at turn 1. But yeah, really exciting battle for P2 as well. Zach Vince desperately trying to get past Lonanoba, couldn't quite get it done in the end. And in fact, Ricky picking up his first podium as a result of their battles.
Yes, it was a Italian 2-3, which honestly I was really, really delighted for. Of course, Ricky has had some bad luck this season. Monaco seems to be a track that suits him with the high downforce, but Mexico's slightly different. There's certain areas of the track where it requires a straight line speed, but I think he'll benefit more without having to use ERS, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. Do you think Ricky could benefit it being a medium to high downforce track, or do you think he'll struggle a little bit?
I mean, if we just look back at what we saw last time out, I think he's probably going to struggle a little bit more. Of course, Monaco as well. It's a very different style of track. Some drivers really tend themselves towards that track. I mean, Yorit, for example, has won twice there before, but doesn't really seem to go as well as some other tracks. I think maybe he's going to struggle a little bit more here tonight.
Yeah, I think so as well. And what does last week's results do with our championship standings? Well, of course, it's Meraki that takes the championship lead at 20 or 30 points behind, ahead of Razin Chai in second. Meraki's just having a very consistent season. Yes, he's only picked up a few wins, but usually sometimes champions don't tend to pick up many wins. Of course, Alex Gillen picked up a lot of wins last season, but there's been many championships where there has been many wins from our champion. They've been consistently getting podiums. Can Meraki put up the challenge and keep on to that championship lead, Josh?
Well, it really has been a story of consistency for Meraki this season. I think if the drivers behind can put a strong run of form together in these next few races, they can definitely catch that gap back up. It's only a 20-point gap that we're looking at with, I think, 6 races left to go in the season. So it's not the biggest margin to close, only a couple of points per race needed. But that battle for second as it stands is really, really close. 4 or 5 drivers definitely in with a shot at second this season.
Of course, Razid picked up a win. Vince picked up a win in Zambor. Joint points with Alex Gillen as well. And I know Alex Gillen is very hungry to get a race victory again for the rest of the season. Of course, he's in the, I can't remember what car he's in, but he's still in quite a decent car in the realistic performance standings. And we have got 19 drivers, full-time drivers, but we have got one driver that you probably are very familiar with. He's usually in the commentary box, but he's back in the cockpit. A 100% win rate. Carl is back in the Kick Sauber, and this is going to be interesting. Can he keep up his 100% win rate? I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, I think, starting with the slowest car as well. Definitely going to be a bit tough for him, but if somebody can come through in that Sauber, I think he's definitely going to be one of the drivers to be able to pull that off here tonight.
Yes, indeed. And before we head to the main race action, we still got 2 other people in the broadcast that we haven't introduced. They're going to be covering the main race action. Your commentators for this evening is Tom Wilkinson and Alex Heron. Welcome to you all. Tom, starting with you. Mexico, no ERS. Could be a recipe of disaster, maybe? Or is it going to be an exciting one?
It's going to be difficult. I think it's definitely going to be somewhat of a tactical showdown. There's going to have to be a lot of compromising, especially with a couple of the cars. Remember, realistic performance for this season. We've got the likes of Vince in his beloved Aston Martin. How happy he'll be about that with a 1.2 kilometre straight and no ERS that he can dump to try and hold on to places. We'll have to wait and see. And like I said, it is a balancing act with the setup you're going to have to go through. If you're too high on the wings, like we see with the Aston Martin, potentially you're going to get gobbled up down that very, very long straight. The trade-off is the deg is high, the grip is low. If you're too low on those wings, the middle sector in particular, grip is going to be at a premium. So there's a lot of different things they're going to have their fingers in very many different pies throughout this qualifying session in particular while they get up to speed and learn the ropes really without that benefit of the DRS and the ERS, sorry.
Yes, the middle sector is very tricky. The tyres in particular on the rears tend to overheat quite quickly. Even the real-life drivers would tend to be struggling as well. And Alex, unfortunately, is still recovering potentially from COVID after the Sim Racing Expo. I think quite a few of you were ill, of course, a few weeks ago. But who would you expect to bring a surprise this weekend with the benefit of no DRS, but the straight line speed in towards turn 1?
I think it could be a mixture of drivers. I'm going to take this off. It was part of a funny bit, but I genuinely can't breathe in it. So I'm going to take it off. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be a very interesting race. The no ERS around a track with such a long straight like Mexico will be a fantastic race to watch. Obviously, with the drivers in the specific cars, I think we could see some big surprises. Maybe Scott Taylor up in the Red Bull, up in what could be an opportunity for a podium or maybe even a win. That's what we'd love to see here in the commentary box.
Of course. I mean, he's done quite well in the Red Bull in the past in his realistic performance league as well. And of course, qualifying, Tom, is going to be very, very interesting because you don't necessarily need to start on pole to get a good qualifying because of the long run to turn 1. A lot of people are going to get the toe.
Probably the worst place if you're the pole sitter. This circuit, 1.2 kilometres straight. It'll be about 800 metres the run from when they pin the throttle for the first time until they hit the braking zone, about 15 seconds or so. Pole position is going to get gobbled up, especially with no battery to defend. They're going to be defenseless. Everybody else going to be lurking behind them with the slipstream. So maybe it's going to be a bit of a tactic for some of the shrewder drives on the grid to try and qualify a little bit further back, give yourself a really good slingshot into turn number 1. So like I said, tactical showdown. This is going to be especially right at the sharp end.
It's kind of going to be like a DRS chicken in a way. People do not want to be starting on the front row. They want to be starting 3rd or 4th or something, which is going to be quite interesting. Quite a few people in the chat are predicting some chaos. But without further ado, let's get into short qualifying with your commentators, Tom Wilkinson and Alex. Tom, take it away.
Wow. Thank you, Jess. And I hope you're ready for this, everybody. Creator Series back on your screens for the first time in a couple of weeks on a Saturday evening. Swinging across the globe, of course, from Monte Carlo 2 weeks ago to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit. 20 drivers in the lobby. Absolutely lovely to see. And as we were saying, Meraki comes in with a lovely 20-point cushion at the summit. And quite fittingly, we go to the circuit at the highest altitude. It'll be interesting to see whether he can maintain that. Been incredibly consistent so far this season. Has the Season 4 champion. Going to have to try and keep that up. 71 lap race to come. But if you're confused at the green striped intermediate tyres that you're seeing, you might be new to the Creator Series. Before we get into the nooks and crannies of this 18-minute qualifying session, within the first 6 minutes, we have an extra championship point for intermediate pole. That is why Tim McMardick, you can see, on the intermediate tyres in the pit lane, along with Carl, commentator Carl, jumping back in for the first time since last season. Here's the Brawn GP, effectively, of the Creator Series. 100% win rate. He's got a decent chance of keeping that going, but being in that Sauber might be a bit of a challenge. Alex Heron, we know how close the championship is. We can see it. Yes, 20 points is the difference between first and second, but big cluster of cars from second down into the lower reaches, really, of the top 10. This intermediate pole is going to mean quite a lot come the end of the season.
Yeah, it certainly is. 1 point could change anything. And now, of course, with fastest lap no longer being an option for a Grand Prix point, our intermediate pole has actually turned out to be a very good addition to the Creator Series. But no, I'm very much looking forward to this qualifying session. The lack of ERS is going to be interesting to see how these cars operate, because, of course, we do know notoriously in this year's F1 game that slipstream is very, very good. So there's going to be cars lining up for a good slipstream down the back straight. As you can see, Scotty Designs, by the way, here in 5th place, looking for his first qualifying lap around the Mexican Grand Prix.
That's the beam, a couple of seconds off the back of Safso in front. Now, Safso usually is straight out there on the intermediate tyres. He's on the soft compound here in the Scarlet Red Ferrari car, and we're thinking there may be a little bit of rain on the horizon. That might be why we're seeing a few less drivers sticking on the intermediate tyres, trying to make sure they get this bank lap in so they don't find themselves a little bit stuck towards the back of the grid. Safso negotiates the first chicane, fairly neat and tidy in that Ferrari car. Expect Safso, the Season 1 champion, let's not forget, to be very, very speedy around this circuit. The low drag of that Ferrari car might not help him too much in the middle sector, but down that long straight, he is going to be a very big threat.
Yeah, he certainly is. Now, going through this twisty, tight section of the middle circuit, Mexico, personal favourite track of mine. I know some people aren't a massive fan of it, but I think personally for racing, it has always been a good circuit to watch. And of course, with that 71 laps, it's going to be a test of endurance as well. And if there is rain on the horizon, it'll be very interesting to see what time it falls down, and if it's going to really affect. Getting reports now, 8 minutes or 7 minutes till light rain. Well, that could be very interesting come the end of this qualifying session.
100%. Drivers are going to have to get their skates on. Safso sliding through the peloton. The first lap time on the board, cut speed 118 flat. The Season 1 champion. He's got it designed, slotting in just behind in the silver area. Here comes Scott Taylor, fastest in the first sector. Can he continue that pace? Yes, he does, and by a couple of tenths pushes the Season 1 champion down into second. The other Red Bull of Adam Sanson slotting into fourth, make that fifth as Concept in the Papaya McLaren car. Not going too strongly in real life at the moment, but looking very, very nice here at the top of the timing charts. Formula Kai seemingly had a bit of a whoopsie out there, 118.7. Still looking for that first Creator Series victory. Usually a master over one lap, struggles to get the consistency over a race distance. Slowest of the time so far, but the wooden spoon is taken by the other McLaren Creator, Papaya Sandwich. Shares right at the bottom there on a 19.5.
And Mr. Gillen here going for what will be a intermediate lap to see where they can set themselves in terms of their intermediate pole. Not many going for it. 122.5 is currently the intermediate lap to beat. Carl is also on a lap there in his Kick Sauber. Very nice livery on the Kick Sauber, I must say. And Carl is looking a lot different these days. From what I remember, I don't remember him having a Sauber as a face.
I just saw a Red Bull jump across the chicane there, potentially putting Carl off ever so slightly, trying to get this extra point.
Ooh.
And he does by 0.2 of a second ahead of Alex Gillen. GB 0.6 of a second down on his teammate. That'll be a little bit concerning. We haven't seen GB since round 2, where it was obviously rig sharing with Tim McMardick. So GB, after winning the season opener, hasn't scored points since. Interesting one there. See if that run's going to come to an end. Another driver that needs a change in fortunes, really. Kareem 7T struggling ever since turning off the racing line. We saw flashes so far. Pole position in Singapore a couple of weeks ago. Monaco as well. Qualified at the back. Managed to muscle his way up into P5 at one point before bidding it into the chicane. Razin Chai into position number 3. Kareem 7T. About 4 tenths down on Carl's intermediate benchmark.
So Carl, by the looks of it, then no one else out on that intermediate lap will take that extra point for intermediate pole. But if there is weather on the horizon, they'll need to come in quickly and get some new tyres on. Infratic has DNF from the session. Clipwood Carl, as he's known, in part of the very exclusive club with his 100% win rate in the Creator Series. We found out earlier that Alex Gillen has a 37% win rate in the Creator Series, which I believe, well, everyone was saying was very good. So I'm going to go with it's very good.
Well, it is very good. If you've got a record that's better than 1 in 3, that is not half bad, and it's a very exclusive club, to be fair, that Carl finds himself in. It's a club of only 1 member, and he, of course, is that member. Razin Chai, second in the championship, was the early leader before he missed last week in Monaco. That was where Meraki was able to get a leg up over the Season 5 champion. Decent lap time, though, in that Haas car. Only a couple of tenths down on the benchmark set by Concept. You can see everybody racing, lawn mowing, some of them in the middle sector, trying to get back to the pits. You can see the skies have definitely darkened. I mean, the rain is very much on the horizon. He likes to dream about winning, doesn't he, Razin? Shame that his team playing at the Theatre of Dreams give him quite a lot of nightmares.
Yeah, they are currently winning 2-0 against Brighton, though. So
that's
unfortunately,
disappointing. That
joke doesn't work. So TK is very disappointed at that. But 3 minutes until the rain starts coming down. So these are going to be the last soft laps that really count here for the fight for pole position. And Timo Mardik only 7th fastest, 1:18.2 there. And I'm very interested in the pace of these drivers without ERS here. I'm surprised at sort of the grid we've got, but you'd expect the sort of McLaren and Red Bull to be at the top of the grid. And then obviously Razin in 3rd place, only a few tenths away from the front row.
100%. The natural pace of that McLaren and the Red Bull, clearly the 2 best cars on the game, shining through. Though I think that is a decent benchmark for Ben so far. Can he get another one in? Back off. Go again if he's got the fuel in that Alpine car. And once again, as it was last season, really, qualifying has been the Achilles heel for Timo Mardik. Apparently Fabio's had a brake failure. That's going to be incredibly hilarious when we watch that back, pile driving into one of the barriers. The sister Alpine will be starting from 20th and last place, and I think the rain has just started to fall, so that could beat the grid decider. With over 10 minutes left in the session, we'll have quite a lot of waffling to do. But yeah, Timo Mardik, if you take drivers that have competed in 2 or more races so far in the Creator Series this season, he's only got the 13th best average qualifying at 10.75. Last season it wasn't brilliant either. Even the season before, when he was in the championship battle till the last race with Kareem 17, qualifying just has never really been there for Timo Mardik.
And Ben started racing on the F1 game in 2010. Shame to see he still hasn't improved in 15 years. Well, I mean, that's for your own opinion, surely, for the way these are written. I can't tell you who wrote these down, but someone did.
Yeah, somebody who's known by having, well, 2 initials as their name. Try and work that one out. Alex Gillen saying the drip has dropped considerably already, down in P16, the reigning champion. Very much under the cosh here, only on a 22.5 with that intermediate lap time. And he's going to be cursing Carl, really, because he went for that intermediate pole. And if Carl wasn't the reserve today, then he probably would have got that. That's Scott Taylor sideways coming out of the S's. He's retired, we can't see, but that front left tyre is detached from the car. And the driver that is currently 2nd place will probably end up there, has had his first chat with the barrier. I think Ricky's retired as well, which I believe is just he can't find any more time. 21.1 for Ricky down in P15. Of course, picked up his first podium 2 weeks ago, but won't be starting any higher. And you can see the drivers now starting to realise, yep, we could be done here halfway through the session. And it means Concept is going to take his first ever Creator Series pole with a lot of the big names in the bottom half.
Yeah, DRS has been disabled as well, and that's usually the case, that the soft tyres are no longer the option, or the dry tyres, I should say, no longer the option. That's it. That's going to be it for qualifying, unless this rain suddenly stops, which by the looks of it, it's not going to happen. And Concept 7, some say Concept looks like a BTEC Lucas Blakely. Rather fitting he's in a McLaren. I mean, I do see it. I see it.
To be fair, I can see it as well. And he's obviously turned into Lucas Blakely because in his 4 appearances so far, best qualifying of 12th, he's just stuck it on pole position by a 10.5. So very, very well done there, Concept. Unfortunately, the one circuit and the one venue that you don't really want to start on pole because you're going to get gobbled up on that run down to turn 1. I'm looking at Safso starting 4th in that Ferrari. That's very slippery in a straight line. He's going to be chomping at the bit. Scotty Designs is disqualified going the wrong way. That'll kick him out of the top 10, probably end up last. For our Mean King, drops him down into P20. GB drifting through the middle sector trying to find grip wherever he can in the Sauber. Doesn't have a lot of downforce anyway, so this is going to make life even harder. GB starting 18th. Fabio starting 19th, Kareem 17th, Gillen 16th, Carl 15th. This is quite the grid we've got on our hands.
It certainly is, and with the fact that Scott Taylor is up in second place as well, is that Scott's highest starting position in Creator Series?
No, he has started second before. Brazil on F1 23 did qualify second place outright. So Scott Taylor has got pedigree in qualifying, been actually pretty decent over one lap so far this season. 8th best qualifier so far this season. So Scott, once again, punching in the lap times, just needs to work on that consistency. But as we see the drivers drifting through the stadium section, I think we should, for the first time, head over to Clipbook Corner, because Josh has got a couple of incidents to look at, especially one with Fabio and a failing brake pedal. Josh, take it away.
Yeah, so brake issues for the Alpine as he made his way in towards the stadium section. Everything seeming pretty fine. He goes to hit the brakes, and then if you look down at the bottom, it was just stuck at about 30-40%. Car just didn't slow down. And that was qualifying over for Fabio. Purple in the first two sectors. That could have been a very, very strong lap for Fabio, but now he's starting down, I think, in 19th place. The other clip we have here is Mr. Scott Taylor, who will be starting in second place on the grid, as you said, equaling his best ever start. But quite an interesting incident from Scott. As he was making his way through the S's here, he actually looks away from his screen briefly and then drops the car. He wasn't even looking at his screen on his lap, and that is why he is out of qualifying. Really unfortunate stuff for him. But I think the number one rule is you should probably be looking where you're going, especially during qualifying.
At least you saw the funny side of it, and that's what we like to see. Razan's still out there drifting, ice skating through the middle sector in the Cota-inspired Haas livery, looking to find any grip that he can. Fabio's record this season, just going back to emphatic, is quite incredible. Obviously, 6th in the championship, has picked up a couple of podiums, hasn't actually started higher than 18th. So if qualifying is a problem, which it has been for Fabio, his race pace and work his way through the field certainly hasn't held him back too much.
No, and it's going to be interesting to see how he works his way through the field on this one. Obviously, we don't know the conditions for the main race. Obviously, with 71 laps of the Grand Prix to come. We've got some racing here in the final sector between the Haas and the Kick Sauber as they slide their way through the final sector. But yeah, this is going to be interesting because with the 0 ERS trying to overtake around a circuit, which his main opportunity is down the back straight, I do question where they're going to find the places to overtake.
Yeah, it should be an interesting one. I think drivers are going to have to get a little bit more creative, you would imagine, because they will get a point where they'll get frustrated, sat in a bit of a DRS train. They haven't got the battery to try and use tactically to get past people. So we might see moves up into sort of turn 4, 5, 6, the top section of the circuit, where they can just be a little bit sneaky and try and chuck it up the inside, catch one of their rivals unawares. Qualifying is done. Look at the grid, everybody. Try and pick out who you think is going to finish inside the top 3. Mixed up grid. Championship leader goes from P12. Car with a 100% win record in Creator Series 15th. Reigning champion 16th. Cream 7T becoming acclimatised really to starting at the back end of the grid this season. Goes in 17th. GB 18th with Fabio 19th. And if you're looking for big names right at the sharp end, there's not too many. Ben in P7. Vince in P8 as well, 3rd in the championship. Razan Chai going from 3rd. He's going to be absolutely loving life, as he's shown, with his drifting through the S's. This is a huge opportunity for somebody to come out of the midfield and pick up a really, really strong result for themselves.
Yeah, I feel like it's a race that lends itself to a surprise, especially with the wild card we have on play. And this qualifying session has really spiced up what was already looking like a very interesting Grand Prix with the lack of ERS. But now with such a mixed up grid and obviously our main sort of contenders down the midfield or even lower end, Mareki once broke his arm playing in goal for his football team, and then once out of his cast broke his other arm. That sounds like just a Mareki thing to do, personally.
Yeah, interesting one there from Jake. Clearly put those footballing days behind. I'd be interested to not position he played, to be fair. At school, we're hearing from TK producing this evening, so that makes it even funnier.
He also has COVID, TK.
It's rancid at the moment. Absolutely rancid in
really
the commentary
is.
box. My producer's coughing at me. My co-commentators coughing and spluttering at me as well. GB in the wall. Doesn't really matter from 18th. Chipping off some of that front wing as we wait now for the 5 drivers that haven't retired so far, just to have their fun in the remaining 3 minutes of this qualifying session.
Maybe they're waiting for the rain to stop. Would be funny if the rain stopped from the last lap. Oh, well,
I
think
saw
that's unlikely
somebody.
then.
I saw somebody on the full wet tyre. You can see GB there with half a front wing. Not going to be ideal considering he's already downforce is at a premium in that Sauber car, even though it is fairly speedy in a straight line. And this could be a tricky one for both Saubers, considering they're starting towards the back. Yes, they've got good straight line speed, but we've seen on a number of occasions this season tyre wear not great in that lime green kick Sauber car. Baku was a prime example. GB starting at the front on the soft compound tyres. Realistically, he only got 6 or 7 laps out of them before he had to get rid of them. He's going to go backwards, I think, to get disqualified.
Yeah.
Yes, so he will drop 1 place, and Fabio no longer starting on the back row. And for the 3rd time, he'll go from 18th this season. So big improvement there for Fabio. Hopefully he can get those brakes working. And there's Meraki on the wet tyres as well.
Yeah, just practicing on the wet tyres in case there's a chance of wet rain, as Meraki didn't come around the corner there. The cameraman was expecting it, but there was no RB come around the corner. Yeah, tyre wear is always an interesting factor in this game. I mean, the tyres do drain away a lot quicker than a lot of people would expect in this year's game, but obviously with the realistic cars as well, then there is a chance of a real opportunity for someone to grab a podium or maybe a surprise win here.
100%, yeah. And Josh Richards actually in Clipboard Corner makes a very good point. You were talking about wet rain. I've never heard of dry rain before. So Alex, if you want to tell us what the difference between wet rain and dry rain, God, that's a tongue twister, is, then have a go. There's too many rains, too many drains, too many rains.
Too many rains all over the rain.
I think we should bring Jess back in.
I think it's a good idea.
So we can try and digest what happened. We only had half a qualifying session. We're already going delirious with the amount of filler that we've had to put in. The remaining 9 minutes, they're back on our screens. Mixed up grid, isn't it, Jess? This should be exciting.
Yeah, I couldn't stop laughing the final few minutes with all your banter going on. So yeah, that's the perfect time to discuss what happened. Pretty much everyone ran very quickly out of the pits, but there were certain drivers that were just still on into that at the start of qualifying. Surely, Josh, that was a mistake, right?
Yeah, I mean, they would have seen the rain coming. I don't see why you would... It's 1 point that they're getting for Inter's pole, as opposed to being able to start maybe 10 places further up the grid. The likes of Carl, Alex Gillen, those guys, you kind of would expect they would be starting up at the front end of the field. So maybe they might have thrown this one away a little bit, because you've got Razin starting in 3rd, Safso in a Ferrari starting 4th, Ben in an Alpine starting 7th. I think there's a lot of big hitters up at the front of the field who could have a chance to run away with this one.
Yes, and I mean, they're not going to have to rely on the ERS, as there's none, but since we are actually 2,285 meters above sea level, that's going to really reduce the performance on the cars. The aerodynamics is going to suffer, less downforce, less drag. So they're going to have, Alex, reduced grip and speed anyway, regardless, because it is so high above sea level, this track.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I think the case of them not doing their laps, I think there's a chance that, obviously, we talked about before, being on pole position here with the lack of ERS may be a challenge. But the fact they want to start in that midfield seems even more of a challenge, because I don't see where they're going to find those overtakes that strongly, because it's going to be a little bit NASCAR-y in a way of everyone just trying to sit in the slipstream behind another car and trying to find a place to overtake. So I think that middle sector and maybe into the final sector we could see overtakes, but I think it's going to be a DRS fest. But I think cars also tend to slow down when they're full on ERS. I think obviously when he always says about the try and drain your ERS out, and they're all going to be sitting at 100 ERS the entire race. So I think it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, it is going to be an interesting one. And make sure you do join us for all of the action. Will there be rain? Will there not be rain? Well, we're going to have to find out very, very soon, as we are about to get underway for the main race action for the Mexico City Grand Prix. Everyone is getting their strategies. Let's get our final picks. Who do you think's going to win today? Tom, starting with you.
I think this is too good an opportunity for Razin to bypass. Hasn't won so far this season, but has been very consistent. Missed last week. Opportunity now to take a big chunk out of Meraki's championship lead.
Alex?
I think Scott Taylor is going to win this Grand Prix.
Yes.
I think that's my prediction.
Ex-commentator.
He's got his chance, surely. It's surely his opportunity now on that front row. Take that lead in turn 1. Surely he can't mess this up.
And what about you, Josh?
Well, I'm going to agree with our producer TK and say that Sasso has got this one in the bag. Starting, I think, 4th in a Ferrari. I think he's on for a really great race tonight.
Safso pulled a very good qualifying, actually went in at the right time in qualifying. So I think I have to agree with our producer TK as well, and Josh with Safso. He's in a really prime position. Starting third and fourth around a track like Mexico is going to be very good. And if you get DRS into turn 1 on lap 2, then it's probably going to be a prime position for them to overtake the guys at the front in towards T1. And can the slower guys like Concept, for example, Josh, keep onto that lead for a long time? It's going to be difficult for him, but he's had some decent results this season, so it's not going to be over for Concept. He is in the best car after all.
Yeah, he's in the best car, and he's also in a crocodile suit, so hopefully that's going to find him a little bit of extra pace here tonight. And maybe he will be able to hang on for a decent result.
Yes, I like the way that he dresses up. It is quite interesting. And TK is wondering what the costume is made out of. If he gets on the podium tonight, we'll probably ask him what his costume is made up of as well. And I wonder, are we going to expect some rain? We're gonna have to wait and see. But Tom, it's going to be, I think, very tricky for the likes of the midfield runner just to hold their position against the front runners who are starting at the back. I mean, the front runners want to get past traffic very easily, but the midfield runners are not going to make it look easy for them.
The one thing that I would say is a lot of them are starting in a line, effectively. You've got Jake in 12th, then you go, I think, not quite in the right order. It goes Ricky, Carl, Gillen, Fabio's in there, GB's in there, Scotty's in there as well. We know that he likes a punchy move also. So for the first few calls, at least, they're going to be squabbling amongst themselves, which is an opportunity for the drivers in front just to try and settle in a little bit. We know that Gillen will be keen to try and make up places as soon as he possibly can. Same with Carl as well. He's got a point to prove coming in the slowest car, trying to keep up that 100% win ratio. So if they just get entangled with each other a little bit too much in those early stages, that could present even more opportunities.
And Alex, starting tyres, usually you would expect people to start on the mediums or the hards. The mediums don't tend to last long around here, especially with this 100% race. I am keeping a close eye on some streams, and it is quite interesting to see what people are thinking at the moment. What would you do if you were racing? Would you start on mediums or hards, or would you start at the softs, like if you were Alex Gillen or GB, for example?
Thinking of starting towards the back of the grid, give a punt at a soft tyre, because it might give you the advantage with the grip. But obviously, we know Mexico is a tyre burner. I think the hards are going to take a while to warm up, but the mediums aren't a very good race tyre anyway, especially in this game.
Definitely
at all.
not.
So I think we'll see a mixture of hards and softs at the start. I think if the mediums are needed, they will be later in the race, and if they have run out of tyres, basically.
I have to agree with you, because I was doing some practice for a league race I've got tomorrow, and after 4 or 5 laps in a 50% race, the mediums, they tend to slide very, very quickly. So it's going to be interesting to see what they choose in terms of actual setup as well, because they might have to up the brake bias. I think that's what helped me. But yeah, mediums and softs, probably not the best tyres. I wonder, Tom, if they're going to go for a harder tyre allocation this weekend due to the fact that the mediums are just not viable and the softs may not last long at all either.
100%. I think that'll be a big, big blunder if you don't take 2 sets of hard tyres into this race. Soft tyres are terrible. Throwaway tyre, overheat in half a lap. You don't want to use them. Mediums, like you said, they start sliding after 4 or 5 laps as well. The temperatures just continue to spiral after that as well. The hard tyres are going to be king. How you play your strategy around that, especially if there's intermittent safety cars throughout the race, that's going to probably decide who wins.
Hard tyres is king, says Tom Wilkinson. We are about to get underway for the main race action. Is there going to be chaos? Is there going to be drama? Well, we are about to find out. Let's join our commentators as we go into the formation lap. Tom Wilkinson and Alex Heron. Tom, take it away.
Well. We're going to get our first look at the tyre strategies, aren't we, as they pull away from the grid for the first time, but most certainly not the last. And well, a lot of drivers favouring those yellow striped mediums. We said they're not a particularly good race tyre. Not a bad idea to get them out of the way early. Scott Taylor feeling punchy on those soft tyres on the front row of the grid. Second time he started from P2 in his Creator Series career. Big opportunity for Scott Taylor in that Red Bull racing car. The Lion, Fabio, does not concern himself with fun facts, as we know, with him starting down in P18. But he's on the soft tyres as well, looking to make up time and places in the early salvos of this race. Hard tyres for Alex Gillen. Now, it's not been helped by the fact that he's also been disqualified. A lot of lawn mowing going on as well. Carl and Formula Kai thrown into the abyss as well of the formation lap disqualifications. Who was that? That was Lolanova cutting over the grass in the middle sector. And I think what's really interesting about Lolly is, in qualifying, he was 7/10 down on concept through the first sector, but fastest second sector, fastest third sector. That could be very, very interesting to see how Lolanova's race shapes up.
I think it will be interesting to see, because I think the way that these guys are having to set their setups up is they've chosen a sector they're going to be the fastest in, and that's how they've set their cars up to race. And this is what I want to see. A Grand Prix with no ERS, no electronical energy as the two Red Bulls come together. I haven't said that since 2010, but here we go. We have got the formation lap almost ready here, and we have certainly a good starting position. Adam is a pro voiceover artist. On an unrelated note, I would love him to read us a bedtime story. I mean, I probably would. Yeah, I mean, he's got the voice of Devin Butler and many others in his repertoire. But take us away. This is going to be a fantastic Grand Prix, I feel.
100%. Adam Sanderson, bedtime stories. Hopefully, though, for a lot of the drivers, this won't be a nightmare. It's a 15-second blast from lights out before you slam on the brakes for the very first time. Grid set. But let's be sure, everybody, this is going to scatter on the Stampede. The sprint for supremacy down to turn number 1. A charge of over 800 metres and a grid that does not look like what we expected coming in. We wait for the lights now. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Like real life, it's McLaren versus Red Bull. And we are racing for the Mexico City Grand Prix. Scott Taylor on the soft tyres, let's not forget, gets a lightning quick start. Adam Sanderson losing places, as is Alex Gillen on those hard compact tyres. And already here comes the rocket ship of the Red Bull. Safso as well. Low drag Ferrari car looking this way and that to try and find any space to challenge down to T1. His concept around the outside, trying to rebuff this assault from Scott Taylor, who's having absolutely none of it. Charges past, thinking nothing of the McLaren there, and the soft tyre runner into the lead. Safso disposes of Razin Char as well. GB off in the background, down into P20, joined now by Chesnord Gaming. Look at Razin, jinking around, looking to try and get third place back, locking the rears. Goes the Ferrari of Safso, almost slams into the side of Concept, but just about keeps it pointing in the right direction.
A start from all of our drivers, all keeping it nice and clean, but Scott Taylor did not give up that opportunity for a race lead as he leads the Mexican Grand Prix ahead of Concept and Safso in third place. A lot of fighting going on in that midfield, but those soft tyres warmed up nicely there. Infratic up to 11th from the back of the grid. What a start from the Lion. He did not need a fun fact, and he did not need an invitation into 11th place.
He is under pressure. Look at this, Adam Sanderson sending it down the inside of turn 12. Bit of a pinch point, big sausage curb at the apex as well. But Fabio does not want to give this one up, does not want to get stuck behind the Red Bull car. He's now just having to be watchful of Meraki sat waiting in the wings. You do not want to drop out of the DRS of the car in front, because that is going to be a tall order to try and get it back. Formula Kai up into P9. Into the pits comes Chap as the Mercedes, clearly wounded on that opening lap, ditching those medium tyres as well. Is there any damage for him, or is this tactical? I think he's strapping on the hard tyres already. Chappers with the potential big brain play here, diving down the inside. Goes Datkovitz trying to relegate Lolanova down a further spot, and is successful in doing so. Good start for the second Alpine of Timo Malik as well, from 7th up into P5. This duel is going to continue though. Aston Martin, the car that was fielded by Lolanova 2 weeks ago, versus Vince, who was coincidentally in the Williams. Still the Aston Martin trying to take the high road. Lolanova does not want to give this one up. He's lost 1 second to Timo Malik in front, but still battling hard to hold on to as many places as he can. And Datkovitz at this stage has to wave that white flag.
Wheels to Wheel Racing. Look what Wheels to Wheel Racing can do if you don't have electrical energy. Proper good battling here in this opening 2 laps of the Mexican Grand Prix. Scott Taylor still leads by about 7/10 of a second. Here comes Adam Sanderson for another bite of the cherry to try and get past Infratic, who barely held on to DRS. It's down the inside goes Adam Sanderson. It's a real close battle. Apparently we're hearing from our producer that Fabio has damage, and I think by that, yeah, it looks like front right end plate damage on that Alpine. So I wonder if he will pull into the pits. Concept sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. The Lion needs no pit stop. He carries on onto lap 3 as Concept is closing in now on Scott Taylor. That DRS using very effectively, but doesn't have that extra boost that you would normally have from the electrical energy.
Yeah, I can't quite get close enough, almost pushing him into the braking zone. Here comes Fabio back at the Red Bull of Adam Sanson. Look at this, the big guns that started at the back still very much clustered together and squabbling amongst themselves. Kareem's pushed Carl down a spot into P14. Lord Gillen did get up into P14 on those hard compound tyres, but has just slipped back ever so slightly. And now under the cosh because GB68 is there dancing underneath the rear wing of the Red Bull goes the Alpine of Fabio. Little bit of contact behind, and this is Meraki sensing an opportunity maybe to add even more misery to Fabio's opening 3 laps despite starting from the back. Chipping off that front right end plate has left him a little bit exposed here, as has the battling between himself and Adam Sanson. 2 seconds the gap between 8th, 9th and 10th.
Yeah, just about to mention the lack of ERS and the battling that they are having is causing a gap to form between the top 10 and the back 20. And now it is really affecting a lot of the drivers that didn't qualify well in that wet, dry qualifying. And it's causing big problems. And Scott Taylor and Concept are properly battling out here. And surely with the DRS at a 10th advantage, it's got to be an easy pass for the McLaren here. This is going to be straight line speed versus straight line speed, DRS versus no DRS. And surely it'll be an easy pass, but they go wheel to wheel down the front straight, but there'll be no comeback from Scott Taylor as he stays in second place and Concept takes the lead of the Grand Prix.
Also to now the race leader once more, and you wonder if those soft tyres already starting to scream for a bit of mercy. Jostling continues to go on. Gillen's lost a load of places. Scotty Designs punchy as ever down the inside of Ricky, who's already been mugged by the Sauber of GB. Cream 17, by the way, taking a lawn mowing trip through the grass at turns 1 and 2. Carl says thank you very much and laps that one up on a silver platter. Scotty doesn't pick off the places he wanted to, but running out of battery, of course, is Ricky because he's not able to use it. Scotty Designs thinking about the move down the inside. Thinks better of it, though. Chez still very much in hot pursuit of this gaggle of cars. But look at them, the championship protagonists still queued up at the back. Meraki, Carl, Kareem, Gillen, GB, all still in a line. None of them inside the top 10.
They're all struggling, but the man who's struggling the most right now is Scott Taylor. Those soft tyres clearly screaming in pain already on lap 4, as you mentioned earlier, because they are now dropping back into Safso's grasp. Of course, the Season 1 champion has got a real opportunity of a win here. Scott has made 38 appearances in the Creator Series, scoring 177 points. That's an average of 3 points per race. And Scott Taylor was looking for his first Grand Prix win here, but right now it's crumbling on lap 5 because he's probably going to lose another position to the Ferrari here of Saxo. Let's see the straight line speed. Oh, it's not even going to be a contest between the two. The DRS using to the advantage as Scott Taylor falls down into third with the Razin Shai right up his rear.
But look at Lolanobi, he was just in the background, already getting out of the dirty air. Darting to the inside goes Fabio, still trying to hold on to places under the cosh once again, because Meraki and Carl looming, lurking, lingering behind the rear of that Alpine car, continue to grapple for grip with the minimal front downforce. He's got around the outside. Razin Shai on the button pushes Scott Taylor down a further spot. That was opportunistic and clinical from the Season 5 champion. Had to follow Safso through because that Ferrari, you would bet your bottom dollar, is going to chase after the runaway McLaren out in front. Tim Martin, we know he likes a punchy move as well. Had to think about it around the outside, but not a regulation overtaking spot unless you're Max Verstappen in 2024 and you don't care about the track limits and just chuck it down the inside of your rival.
Well, that's usually the best way to overtake, and usually you only find yourself with a 5-second time penalty as Carl finds himself into 12th place as Infratic really struggling with that damage now, but he has caused a little bit of a bottleneck in between the rest of the field as Scott Taylor and Tiamat Marduk battle in the final sector, debris flying up from them touching wheels. But look at this, and Scott Taylor finally pulls into the pit, 6 laps on those softs, and already he needs a new set of boots.
First 50% was great, second 50% absolute hell for Scott Taylor. He's left Tim Mark a little bit exposed, but thankfully he's got a Williams behind who is under pressure from Dak Govich. You wouldn't expect to see the Aston Martin making a move on the straight, especially against the Williams. Very dragging a straight line, but that's not going to put Vince off. And after an almighty duel on lap 2 between the Aston Martin and the Williams, it is finally Vince who pushes the Italian down a further spot. Kareem battling away with emphatic little bit of contact, front left tyre to right side pod as the Alpine continues to struggle with that front wing damage. Lord Gillen's managed to pass the pair of them. Alex Gillen opportunistic and very clinical as he always is, the reigning champion, trying to battle his way through the pack. Kareem fancies his chances around the outside of 4. Outside of 4 will turn to the inside of 5. Has Fabio got the confidence in that Alpine to try and hold on into 6, the double right-hander of 6? No is the firm answer from the Alpine. There's contact behind. GB sticking his nose in a place is not very welcome. Kareem up to 13th. Fabio still under pressure.
Kareem recently lost his best friend, the Rainbow Snake, and still struggling to find his mojo since. He is certainly struggling to find his mojo, the Rainbow Snake, very precious to us all. Some of us still use it to this day.
I can confirm that I do still use it as well, but I don't feel guilty about it. Kareem 70 actually has picked up a little bit of front wing damage there. Now, whether that was with his jostles and his tussles in trying to get past and dispose of Fabio behind, we'll be none the wiser unless we head over to Clipbook Corner, which I'm sure we will do in a short space of time. Gap out in front actually extending. Concept's got some really good speed in that McLaren. 2.1 seconds now, the margin between the McLaren and the Ferrari. Legendary battle, as is this one. Datkovic trying it around the outside of turn one on Tierman Mark, trying to put some manners on the former two-time champion. But Ben, of course, is wise to that one. Holds firm and is trying, or in his attempt, sorry, to keep fourth place under his grasp. Lonanoba and Tuki have arrived on the scene as well. The two Williams might be looking to tag team. And look at that, Lonanoba jinking all over the place, still getting their teeth stuck into each other. GB and Infratic battling over 14th and 15th. Feels like they've been joined at the hip for the entirety of the first 7 laps of this Mexican Grand Prix. Surely GB going to repeat the trick that was done by Kareem on the previous lap. Outside of 4, turns to the inside of 5 with that compromised front downforce, missing half of his front wing. GB can take that one fairly easily.
You'd expect Infratic at this point to try and think about a pit stop, because that front wing damage and those soft tyres are really causing him problems now. But we can see from the likes of Scott Taylor and Chappers, who have gone on to new sets of tyres, they're not really making any ground at the moment. But of course, they're not seeing any DRS, and they can't use ERS to catch up. So pit stops in this version of our racing here this afternoon are causing a lot of problems. And normally, what you'd see is drivers on fresh tyres catching up, but they're not allowed to use their ERS. And down the inside goes Ricky 03 in a very obscure sector. Only saw Max Verstappen try this once and did get a puncture for his troubles. But on this occasion, Ricky did not make that move, but now they've had the DRS on Infratic, so let's see if he can make that overtake stick.
You think he should be able to. The Ferrari very quick in a straight line. We're hearing that somebody has been using some ERS, so somebody's been very naughty and could be feeling the wrath of TK, our producer, very, very shortly. Infratic clearly running low wings. He's obviously missing a bit of front downforce because he fancies his chances back down inside of Scotty into turn 1. Bit of a bump and run as we go through turns 1 and 2. Scotty holding firm, staunch in his defence of 15th for the time being. I thought it would be the other way round. The shoe, I thought, would be on the other foot with the Ferrari very slippery in a straight line, charging past the Alpine of Infratic, which is a little bit draggy. Now jinking over to the inside. Is he quite alongside? He fancies it, but he can't quite make it stick. Fabio still fighting like a lion, despite the handicap he's got with the damage.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job. Of course, that straight line speed is very slippery with the fact that he's also missing part of his front wing. So he's doing quite a good job there. And keeping an eye on the rest of the field. Concept still leads by about 1.7 seconds, rather than Charlie just sitting within that DRS range. Tierman Marduk and that guy Vint all battling for 4th and 5th. We're only on lap 8 here of 71. We're still trying to get confirmation for you on who used that ERS, because you should have heard our producer. He was furious at the fact that someone used DRS.
Chucking it down the inside, and Infrati's been pocket pinched into the stadium section. Ricky finally disposes of the Alpine, but I think Fabio is going to get the DRS, and with that minimal downforce once again, he'll get the opportunity to try and blast back by. A little bit wobbly though coming through turn 17 of the Piratella. Got to be careful of the Papaya McLaren of Chesnoid Gaming further forward, battling just inside the top 10. Adam Sanderson getting swept around the outside. Here comes the championship leader trying to make up for lost time. He was down the order in qualifying as well. It's picture book perfect from the championship leader. Maraki up into P9. The job very not done though, because Carl's on the scene. Alice Gillen in hot pursuit as well. We could be 4 wide. Which way do we want to go? Carl chucking it down the inside. That's going to leave him exposed, because around the outside goes Alice Gillen. First interactions between Gillen and Carl we've seen in the Creator Series so far, trying to put some manners on the 100% Creator Series victor. And I think the Sauber is going to come off second best in this altercation. Alice Gillen does make that move and up into 11th.
Proper good battling there, almost 4 wide, and all of them keeping it very nice and clean indeed. But this is the sort of battling we can expect, with the fact that no one can really pull away from a corner. You don't have that acceleration that you would normally have from that boost of electrical energy that these cars would normally be executing. But at the moment, they are all using their natural race skill and, of course, their good old-fashioned DRS. Now, Scott Taylor has been closing in on this 3-way battle between Ricky 03, Chesnoid and Infratic, currently 5.4 seconds off of them. We didn't actually see what tyre he went on to in the end. I'm assuming it was the hard tyre, and it is the hard tyre. So it'll be interesting to see where he gets to later in the races. That guy Vince has taken 4th place off of Tiernan Marduk, very deep into the first corner, and it may give an opportunity for Timo Marduk to come back at him here as going down the back straight. But of course, the DRS detection zone is before the braking zone, so they will not get DRS, so they'll have to stick behind for another lap.
And that's important for Vince because Ben doesn't actually have great pace at this stage of the race, unable to make any real impression on the trio in front, who have continued to retain their formation. 2 seconds, the gap hovering between Concept and Safso first and second, with Razin sticking like glue to the back of the Scarlet Ferrari car. His Ferrari engine counterpart, let's not forget, the Haas holding third place at the moment. And then 2 seconds back to this little quartet of Vince, Tim Marduk and the 2 Williams cars. We saw Alex Gillen was trying to make the most of a good run out of the final corner to push Adam Sanderson down a further spot. Hasn't been able to do so thus far. We're still very, very close to the back of that Red Bull Racing car. No DRS either for Adam Sanderson as Meraki in front has checked out and jumped off into the distance. Not a good run through 12 either for Adam Sanderson. Going to be very much under the blowtorch and under the microscope from 2 cars here, because Carl will be fancying his chances of picking up 1, maybe even 2 spots as well.
Yeah, it certainly will as we head down the back straight now. Adam going to be under real pressure here from Mr. Alex Gillen. He's done a good job holding this 10th place, but it hasn't really affected him that much as Timo Marduk back in front of that guy Vince. There goes Alex Gillen past Adam Sanderson. The lack of DRS and of course no ERS to protect himself has really affected the Red Bull driver as Alex Gillen moves himself up into the top 10. Gillen once made a sandwich so good he had to post it to it on his Instagram story. Looked like a plain ham sandwich though.
I'd be surprised with Alex Gillen if there was no cheese in that ham sandwich as well. And maybe a little bit of salt from time to time. But he has managed to finally get ahead of the Red Bull of Adam Sanderson. He can set his sights on the driver that he's not just targeting in this Mexico Grand Prix, but in the championship as well. Championship leader Meraki, Season 4 champion, let's not forget as well. This battle for 4th place continues to rage on. You would think that Ben and Vince, with the gap extending between themselves and Razin in front, are just going to try and work together at this stage. See how effective the DRS sharing actually is, because normally on this game, DRS sharing doesn't really benefit you in any real way. With no battery, his car still examining sternly the rear geometry of that Red Bull Racing car. Will this be a chance to maybe see if DRS sharing does have a benefit and can just bring you up close? Look at this, getting up close and personal is Carl and Adam Sanderson through the final couple of corners in the stadium section. I don't think Adam Sanderson's going to get the DRS from Gillen in front. In fact, he's going to dive into the pit lane, following in the footsteps of Formula Kai, who also fancies of getting rid of his tyres and getting some fresh boots on. That releases both Sauber cars, with GB a further second, following in the footsteps and the wake of his teammate in front. Cream 17 very much in that ballpark as well. The gap out in front, by the way, did come down to 1.3 seconds at one stage, has just extended out a couple of tenths now, back up to 1.5, 1.6. Just ebbing and flowing, that battle between Concept and Safso. Safso working hard to try his best to get within the 1 second window of the McLaren in front and just make his life that little bit easier.
And unfortunately, the rest of the cars behind have caught the Infratic train, and it has well and truly left the station. But there's Mr. Scott Taylor, the man that started on the front row, looks to go around the outside of Ricciardo 3 in a very nice overtake. That car is very fast in a straight line there, because he was right past him.
I think the trailer fears Ricky definitely not running the right setup. He's in the Ferrari, one of the fastest on the straights, and he looks dog slow on the straight. So he's going to be under significant pressure, and it could be a slightly unenjoyable race for the man driving the Scarlet car, the Italian in the Italian prancing horse, but not necessarily having a keen gallop in the first 13 laps of this Mexican Grand Prix. Razin Chai's just got to keep his wits about him, by the way. 9 tenths of a second between himself and Safso. Doesn't want to be lazy and drop outside the 1 second window. Lord Gillen has taken chunks of time out of Meraki on this lap, and this could be an opportunity for him to put some manners on the championship leader as well. Say, hey, I won the last race in Monaco. I'm coming for you, Jake, mate. Not just in the race, but in the championship as well. Yellow flag is out. There's been some kind of misdemeanor.
Oh.
We've got a Ferrari facing the wrong way, and once again, Infratic is involved, this time with Ricciardo 3. They've been battling so hard in the opening 13 laps of this race, and finally they both come a cropper, and that's going to be a bit of a race ruiner for them unless we see a safety car in the coming few laps. Lord Gillen, by the way, did get ahead of Jake.
Yeah, we were kind of expecting a collision from Infratic at some point with that wing damage and the way that they were battling together. I'm sure over at Clipboard Corner we can get a recap of that very shortly indeed. With 13 laps on the clock, Concept still leading by about 1.6 seconds. It hasn't really changed from that view. I will say though that Adam did a very good job on those soft tyres, considering the fact, as we see Formula Kai getting past Chesnoy Gaming here, or Dewey, they still go wheel to wheel, but a lovely move that is from Formula Kai. I was saying is Adam managed to hold onto those soft tyres a lot longer than our front row sitter, Scott Taylor, did.
Yeah, but they looked absolutely rubbish by the time he got rid of them. So maybe you would rather be in Scott Taylor's position, considering he's also 10 seconds clear of his teammate. Once they've both made their first stops, and that was fairly easy, wasn't it, for Formula Kai, who has gone for that undercut, strapping on the favoured white-striped hard compound tyres and disposing of Chestnut Gaming with relative ease. Razin's got his game back in order as he's close back up to the rear of the Ferrari of Saf. So you can see there Datka Vincent P5 just ducking out of the turbulent air. That's going to be a key tactic as well. You can try and keep the temperatures down, in particular the engine temperature as well. That is going to give you an advantage when it comes to straight line speed. GB, by the way, has just put his teammate down outside of the top 10. Carl drops to P11. GB up inside the top 10 for the first time this evening. 2 seconds though behind Meraki, who is really struggling to keep up with Alex Gillen. Those hard tyres singing a beautiful song from the Haas car. Gillen up into P8 and looking very, very racy.
Well, as we were expecting, as we see Scotty Designs, by the way, taking on Kareem 7 here, wheel-to-wheel battling between the Mercedes and the Aston Martin. Properly good scrap this is, as they carry on wheel-to-wheel in the sector. You don't normally see cars go wheel-to-wheel, and a very aggressive come over there from Kareem, but lovely stuff indeed. But we were mentioning the medium tyres were not a good race tyre, but they have made them work so far. But we are now probably seeing the hard tyre being that better race tyre from the likes of Scott Taylor, who pitted onto them quite early, and of course the rest of the field now running hard tyres. Our resident meme king himself has made an average of 4 places improvement in race finishes since season 10, and that is actually very, very impressive.
It is, but when you dig further into it and realise that Scotty spent a lot of his time finishing 18th, 19th and 20th last season, maybe it's not quite as impressive as we first thought. P15 to P11 is average improvement. Thank you, TK, for that one. As always, on the ball is TK producing this evening's action. The gap between third and fourth extending quite dramatically as well. Nearly 4 seconds separating Razin Chai and Tiamat Molik. Datka Vince has been fairly happy just to sit and watch the Alpine in front go about his business. 4 seconds. It's about to tick over as we go through turn number 4. The 2 Williams as well, just happy lurking there also with Alex Gillen very much in hot pursuit, the reigning champion, taking chunks of time out of this quartet. Remember, Alex Gillen on the hard compound tyres and doing a very, very good job. Definitely on the favoured compound at this stage of the Grand Prix.
And we have certainly enjoyed it from the commentary box. But over in Clipbook Corner, we have a couple of clips to show you, including the Ricky and Fratic clash. So we'll head over there right now. Let's see what happened with Ricky and in Fratic.
Yeah, been a pretty straightforward start to this race so far, apart from this one incident. Still yet to see any signs of Bert Mylander. Coming in towards the stadium section, Scott Taylor getting the move here on Infratic. Infratic struggling a little bit as he makes his way through, and Ricky decides to make a bit of a dive bomb. Infratic stuck on the curb there, and then the contact, dragging them both in towards the wall. Ricky getting away a lot worse, picks up some damage. I don't think Fabio actually picked up any damage, but he does pick up a 10-second penalty, as you can see just at the end there. As for Ricky, this is what it was like from him. Of course, he sees the move from Scott, thinks about the move here, heading in towards the hairpin. Can't really see where Infratic is, but he gets the car stopped on the apex, and then not much space left there, and then the contact there, dragging him off into the wall. A bit of front wing damage on the right-hand side. Not great for his race. Hopefully he'll be able to recover from that one, though.
And we saw Ricky try a couple of times getting past Fabio into the stadium section. Eventually they do trip over one another. I think that's a bit of a 50-50 one, to be honest. You look at it, say there's not really much Fabio could have done. Left the space when he saw the Ferrari send it up the inside. Could Ricky have left a little bit more space on the exit as well? Potentially, but just looked like a bit of a racing incident there, it has to be said. Now, Safso, Season 1 champion, starting to make his move. 1.4 seconds, the gap between himself and Concept has reduced to him. Razin Chai just struggling at the moment to cling onto the coattails of the Season 1, the inaugural Creator Series champion. He did get the DRS on the run down into turn number 12. Going to be critical to see if he gets it here, and I think he does by 16 milliseconds. We'll see if that rear wing flap opens for the Haas. It's a little bit down the straight, as we said, the DRS detection point, but there it is. The DRS is open, so Razin can continue to be dragged along by the Ferrari in front. You have to say, Razin doing a very commendable job here to stay with these two cars in front. And McLaren and Ferrari are very much not slow on this game. The Haas isn't exactly great. Razin doing a decent job.
Yeah, he certainly is. Obviously holding on to those medium tyres as well. Haas tyre wear has never been one of the greatest features of a Formula One car, but Razin Chai certainly doing a good job with it this afternoon. And in terms of the rest of the field, we've obviously got drivers who have pitted and drivers still yet to pit. Obviously, with 71 laps on the field, I'm doubting we're going to see a one-stop here. But the longer these medium tyres go, you question whether they maybe can go to the hards towards the end.
100%. That's what they're going to be trying to do. Eke out these medium tyres. Take that pain now. Hope a safety car comes and then they can maybe go hard to the end of the race. Just take that pain now. Get the medium tyres out of the way and then you can make hay while the sun shines on those very, very nice hard compound tyres that we're seeing the likes of Formula Kai, the two Red Bulls putting to good use. Tim Malik, 4.3 seconds off the back of Razin. Datkovich still slotting in behind the Alpine through the middle set to two cars that aren't particularly quick in a straight. And when you look at the drag levels of the Williams behind, maybe a little bit surprising that Lolanoba or Tukey haven't been a little bit punchier at stages, just to try and say to the duo in front, come on, get on with it a little bit. Meanwhile, Razin Chai, we were praising him, he's now equidistant between himself and Safso to what Safso is to Concept.
Yeah, and I wonder if that car and that tyre wear is starting to affect him as a little bit more than we would expect normally. Just hearing from our clipbook man that a one-stop is possible from a race he did previously, but he thinks he's a little bit slower than what normally. Well, we're hearing from our producer now that a one-stop is quicker because the tyres are a step harder. So just the hard tyres.
Yeah, there's that
TK,
difference between there's
usual.
that difference in compound, isn't it? Compound level between the mediums. I believe it's the C1 to the C3, the jump between the hard tyres to the mediums. That's why they're so durable and probably feel fairly nice around a circuit like this. Carl is spat out of the pits into P17, just off the back of the McLaren of Chesnoid Gaming, and now could try and get to work in this middle stint. Charge after the two Red Bull cars that are about 10 and 15 seconds up the road, and after Formula Kai as well. And that early stop from Kai looking to be a fairly smart decision, has to be said. Really tracking nicely, looking for his first win in the Create Series, remember, is Kai. Good opportunity here with this strategy car that he's played down.
Yeah, it certainly has. He's doing a good job. Someone who was doing a very good job, obviously our race leader, currently sitting about 1.5 seconds. Since he got past Scott Taylor, he hasn't really had a problem in this Grand Prix, not having to deal with Safso. But Scotty Designs, by the way, is out of the Grand Prix and is a virtual safety car on our field. Scotty Designs is crashed in the stadium section, but his car's been cleaned up quickly. But we've got people in the pit stops, Meraki and GB, taking advantage of our virtual safety car, and that could change the race. Is GB having a little bit of problems there as he's found himself back on the main straight.
Full safety car is out, by the way. Yes,
yeah, the kicks out the
yellow
pit
dot.
stop. Very good. Brings you straight back out onto the track.
Very impressive pit design that they've managed to go through there. Scotty Designs, we don't think we're going to get the clip we're hearing from Clipbook Corner. I think he may have just dropped it coming out of turn 12, essentially slapped into the sausage curb on the inside, bunny hopping him into the barrier on the right-hand side. So bad luck for Scotty. He was looking fairly decent, it has to be said, but is the first retiree, and that, of course, will be music to the ears of the likes of Ricky and Infratic. Brings them very much back into play. Not good news for Carl, though. Pitting one lap before the safety car was called out. That means he loses out to Meraki and GB, definitely.
Yeah, and now GB has got his YouTube channel back. He can't give us bad crypto trading advice anymore. Anonymously anymore. I read it wrong. TK didn't write it wrong. Sorry, no, TK didn't write those. I shouldn't say that.
That's a leak that we didn't need.
Yeah, save that one. Something I will say, though, is this has affected Scott Taylor's race. With the fact that safety car's come out and he was gaining positions, it now means drivers in front of him will have the opportunity to pit and he won't be able to make that undercut. But I would imagine he surely has to come in for a new set of boots as well. Try and make it to the end on a new set of hards if he has to.
Definitely an opportunity. The leaders are definitely going to come into the pit lane as well. Lord Gillen staying out. Remember, he's only done 20 laps on the hard compound tyre. Got to use another compound at some stage. He doesn't really want to go through the rest of this race with one hand tied behind his back. So the reigning champion is going to be leading. And look at this. Safso has managed to jump the McLaren of Concept in the pits, and that could prove crucial. They were fairly level on pace in that opening stint. We have our migrating host. That is not good news. Tim Mark has left the session.
Uh-oh.
But I think that might be that we've had a disconnect on the broadcast side. Lobby has crashed. That's not good. We only got 20 laps in. Hopefully people can keep us informed as things happen to other people as well, because we might be having to do a bit of a restart here. Hearing from Clipbook Corner that everybody is out. So we need to make sure Josh is on it. Hide your thumbs, everybody. Take your hands off the steering wheel. That black screen could be deadly for your hands and thumb bones and your fingers as well. We don't want any more injuries to be liable for here at creatorseries.com or .gg it actually is now. And as you may have noticed, if you're watching on Twitch, we're on a new channel, Creator Series GG Twitch channel, the new home of Creator Series. We've got a black screen. The safety car is still out, it's telling us. Not that we can see because somebody's turned the lights out at the Mexico City circuit. So we'll just sit back, see what goes on. Migrating goes again. We're back though. And it's like the grid that we had before. It is. We're going to have another charge down to turn 1. Do we just get spat in without a formation lap? We're looking at the McLaren's helmet and the Red Bull as well. The lights are coming on. I think we might be getting our demolition derby, the second one of the season. So we'll see who's the quickest to try and retire from this race. That guy Vince has won for the second time this season and he leaves the session as well. Be careful of your thumbs, everybody. Carbon fibre scattered absolutely everywhere across the racing circuit. And we are now going to have an absolute tea party down to turn 1. Slamming into the wall at full speed goes Chappers. The two Haas cars getting engaged with each other as well. And some more. Look at that. Is that an Aston Martin that's upside down, I believe?
Well, it's certainly chaotic. Eristessa Sauber gone directly into the first corner. Somehow not retired from that, Carl. It's carried on, as says McLaren. There's a couple of big crashes here. This is actually what would happen in the Creator Series if we didn't have any every weekend. So luckily for you lot, we have a few occasional rules that allows this not to happen. Yes. But Adam Sanderson leads the Grand Prix.
He does, somehow, although he has got a drive-through penalty, though, for ignoring yellow flags. So not good news. And there we have got it. The race has been red flagged. If you couldn't tell already, that wasn't entirely serious what was going on. But yes, we will be doing a red flag. Whether we will do 50%, which I think is more likely, or 100%, we're just waiting for that to be confirmed. 50% most likely, I would say that will be 36 laps of the Mexico City Grand Prix for us to negotiate. If that is the case, of course, we'll bring that to you when we know about it. But Alex Gillen was leading the way, of course. That could change things dramatically if he's given an opportunity to stay in the lead and change his tyres. We'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they call the restart, if they do it before the safety car came out or just as the safety car came out. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens there. But it'll be a very mixed up grid once again, with more of the guys at the front of the grid. But we have our presenter coming back. Jess will be taking over quickly. But yeah, Jess, that was an exciting end to that first part of the race.
Yeah, it kind of is reminiscent of what happened in Monaco last season, where we saw the host disconnected and chaos ensued. But I do believe that also allows, if I'm not too mistaken, if the rules don't change, I think the ones who DNF'd are could be allowed to come back and race again, which I know Infratic will be very pleased about. Probably not, but there we go. That kind of gives us a bit of a warm-up. Yeah, it's getting up lightly. We just had confirmation from our one and only Gareth that Scotty Designs will be allowed to race again. So that's good news for Scotty, Josh.
Yeah, definitely going to be useful for him, this safety car, of course, caused by him. Although I think the lobby crash was a completely unrelated incident. So yeah, fortunate for him to be able to get back in. Hopefully he can create a bit more content here tonight and maybe try and fight his way through and continue that streak of gaining lots of positions in the races as well.
Yes, and this lobby restart is going to be interesting because now there's going to be a debate on where the laps are going to be taken from in terms of where they start, because a lap before, everyone pitted because of the safety car. Quite a lot of people took advantage of that. So is it going to be a lap before or is it going to be after the people pitted? No matter what happens, the people that haven't pitted are going to be hard done by if it goes by when people before pitted. And everyone else is going to be hard done by if the laps are taken after they pitted. No one's gonna like the decision, no matter what happens, Tom.
No, I think nobody's going to like the fact that we had the crash in the first place. If you were watching 2 weeks ago, Ben was blighted quite a lot by internet issues and crashing issues. Probably cost him the sprint win and some decent points in the main race as well. So sometimes the uncontrollable is in fact uncontrollable, as it turns out. So yeah, it will benefit some people, of course. For others, for a lot of people, it will be a bit of a lose-lose. It depends, of course, like you said, when we take the lap back to, it should probably is it 2 laps? I think it is in real life, that if we have
So.
A red flag that we go back a couple of laps. I'm trying to remember races where it happened. 2003 Brazil, I think, is the example where they got it wrong, which probably isn't a great example to use because it took them a week to work out who actually won that race. But yeah, let's just hold our horses and we'll see what occurs in the next 5 or 10 minutes or so.
And I wonder if they're going to be changing their mind in terms of starting on the strategy as well, because it depends on where they start. If they start with a 50% race, Alex, it's going to be very different. I don't think many drivers will be starting on soft if it's a 50% race.
Yeah, I think you'd expect a lot of them to start on that hard tyre or maybe even the medium tyre to get a little bit pain out of the way and then get themselves in for a much better stint. But yeah, that's unfortunate that we've had a crash there because we were gearing up for what could have been a very exciting Grand Prix, some proper good action there, wheel-to-wheel racing. But even with a 50% coming up, hopefully, fingers crossed, we will still have a very exciting race. It will still be the same wildcard, we should point that out, and I imagine it will not be random weather. So we'll be sticking with our dry setting, even though I think it'd be quite chaotic to have random weather included in our next restart.
Yes, Gaff and Hayden are sorting the grid as we speak, so that it will allow the host to set up the grid. So hold your horses, ladies and gentlemen. It will be sorted in the background, and as soon as we know the starting order, I'm sure Tom will be going through that momentarily as our starting grid as well. So that's going to be very unfortunate for Concept, isn't it, Tom? Because he had a really good start. He was able to keep the lead for pretty much the entirety of the stint before he pitted. I still don't know what happened to lose his lead when he came out of the pits, but we were expecting him to lose the lead, but he just kept the likes of Scott Taylor and Safso at bay. He did a great job so far.
I think he will probably get that place back from Safso, first of all. Whether he'll be in the lead or not, we'll have to wait and see. But I don't think he should really take anything negative away from what's happened. You know, his lead has been wiped out a little bit. It was only a second anyway. He had some really strong pace, especially early on in that stint. Managed to put 2 seconds plus between the two behind, 2 former champions of the Creator Series, let's not forget. So he shouldn't be worried. This is still a great opportunity for him to pick up not just a first win, a first podium in the Creator Series. This is a big, big moment for Concept in that Papaya McLaren car. He's just got to try and keep it composed, keep it together. He was in a really good rhythm before. Just try and work your way back into that and he should be fine.
And there's plenty of drivers as well that are going to be really glad that we got a lot of lobby start, like Emphatic, for example, like the ones who are near the back, Alex. What do they need to do to make sure they have a better start compared to the delayed race?
Yeah, I think what they're going to need to do is hopefully not damage their front wings like they did last time at the start. Emphatic certainly did cause himself a lot of problems early doors with that front wing damage. I will say he did a fantastic job holding up the rest of the field and causing that big gap behind. And of course, with that incident as well that he had towards the back grid, definitely didn't help him at all. It wasn't really his fault, though. I agree with Tom. It was very much a racing incident there in the stadium section. You can't really go wheel to wheel there anyway. And it was always going to be a crash. But I think the guys that had a little bit of trouble, especially obviously Scotty Designs coming back in as well, just keep it clean, keep it nice, and just normal basically is the best way to keep it. It's going to be a long run down to turn 1, and you can't be a hero into turn 1. You can only be the villain. So you've just got to keep it nice and clean until at least the end of the first lap.
And they have less laps to do so. They don't have the 72 laps that they have at their disposal. They only have 36 laps. And with the medium not lasting that long at all, expect a lot of the drivers to pit very early. And whilst you're here, whilst we're waiting for the race to get underway, a perfect opportunity. Make sure you follow our new Twitch channel if you haven't already, Creator Series GG. It will be great. And if you do follow, as one of our mods said, you'll get a cookie. So there you go. Make sure you follow us. And if you haven't already joined our new channel, join our new channel. And we do have our starting grid underway as well, and I can confirm that Concept will retain the lead. We'll go through the graphic in just a moment, but Concept, Tom, will retain his lead, which is great news.
100%. Scotty back in as well, starting from P20, but he gets a second bite of the cherry to try and pick up some points. So Scotty going again, also started from the back, and it'll be interesting to see how we play that run down to turn 1 again. It was very clean, wasn't it, on lap 1, on the first attempt, of course. Concept losing out to Scott Taylor, but that was courtesy of the soft tyres that Scott was on. We'll see how people play it again. Another opportunity to try and either get turn 1 and turn 2 right this time, or maybe get it wrong for a second time?
I'll hand it over to you, Tom, to... we're not going through the starting grid yet. Sorry, we can see it on our screen. That's why I got a little bit confused there. But I think one driver, Josh, is going to be a bit hard undone by is Scott Taylor, of course. Him pitting very early on the hards, thinking he would get the undercut. Because he pitted early, he's going to be starting lower down than where he started in the first race. What does he need to do now?
I think he's just got to focus on the race ahead. Obviously, he has lost about 10 positions as a result of this, but I think strategically starting on the softs was the wrong call to begin with. He ended up basically a pit stop behind with only a couple lap fresher tyres. There wasn't much really to be gained there, I think, for Scott. He got one position on track and then dropped all the way behind. I think now he just needs to focus on making sure he gets the strategy right here and just pushing forward in this race.
Yeah, I think Scott Taylor has got a lot of work to do. Of course, his car is designed for straight line speed. Of course, we're realistic performance cars. GB68, of course, starting a little bit higher as well. He's a little bit more consistent in the kick as well. I wonder if the kick's going to perform quite well in that instance. But now we are ready for the starting grid rundown for you, and to talk us through with a background that you probably wouldn't expect because we didn't have time to change it, is Tom Wilkinson. Tom, take us through the lineup for the 50% race.
It's going to be a journey for all of us, isn't it? The starting grid for attempt number 2 at the Mexico City Grand Prix. And whether we go from the front or the back, I'm still none the wiser. It's from the back. Scotty Designs given a second opportunity to try and pick up some points. Infratic had a tricky first attempt of this race. He'll be going from 19th place, but with his front wing very much intact once again. The row in front of them, Riccio 3 got embroiled in a battle with Infratic that ended with them both taking a chunk out of the barrier. Chappers qualified fairly decently, slipped back. He'll be going from 17th. And in front of them, 2 drivers with it all to go for in this one. Carl Pranik pitted just before the safety car comes out, or came out, I should say. His 100% Creator Series winning record very much on the back foot for him. And Chesney gaining a P15. If he stays there, that'll be a lovely point for Ches to pick up in that McLaren car. Just in front, Adam Sanderson and Formula Kai, 2 drivers that usually bring quite a lot of fireworks to the Creator Series. Starting in the mid-pack, remember we can be 3 or even 4 wide on the run down into turn 1. Predict chaos maybe for these drivers. The 2 of them in front. Scott Taylor started from 2nd, qualified P2, slipped back on the soft compound tyres. And, Scott Taylor, there's Scott Taylor, lovely Scott Taylor, alongside Kareem 17, the Aston Martin car. He's looking for a reversal of fortunes, is Kareem. Didn't quite have the pace of some of his rivals, working his way through nicely. Big opportunity for himself. GB68 disqualified and qualified, now nestled inside the top 10. Alongside the championship leader, GB hasn't scored points since round 1. Meraki winning once so far this season with a 20-point buffer at the top of the drivers' standings. Alex Gillen, reigning champion, started on the hard tyres, reaped the rewards of that as everybody made their stops from the softs or the mediums. He pulled through. Will be starting this from 8th place alongside Tukey, who does already have a podium in his short Creator Series full-time career. Then come the 2 drivers that were battling over 2nd and 3rd in Monaco 2 weeks ago. Didn't work out for Vince and his beloved Aston Martin, slipping from 2nd down into 4th place. Lonenober, a couple of victories for himself in the Creator Series. There's an opportunity maybe if he can be ballsy on the first lap to pick up a couple of spots. 2 champions lining up in front of us. Tim McMarlick, 199 days since his last Creator Series win, starting from P4, highest starting position of the season so far. He's got Raz and Chai to deal with, who didn't quite have the pace of the duo in front, but did a very good job of keeping them intact. And then your front row, the pole sitter is the same, and we have our Season 1 legend, Safso, starting alongside the Ferraris, very slippery in a straight line. That battle down to turn 1 could be very, very interesting. 800 metres of flat-out racing before we hit the brakes for the first time. And it is myself and Alex. It's almost got a bit lonely now as Jess and Josh have left the scene, but we will of course hear from them in due course as this race progresses. That run down to turn 1, we said it before, first time was very, very clean. Second time, people might be thinking, well, I can just be a bit punchy here, try and make up a couple more places. They would have known as well what the racing was like in the first attempt. So drivers that maybe got a little bit frustrated that they couldn't work their way through, they're also going to be a little bit punchier as well, you'd imagine.
Yeah, they certainly will be, and I think we have a lot of racing about to get started as well as we head over to the starting grid. And there is a formation lap, thank goodness for that, because that would be a very rushed start to the Mexican Grand Prix. A second attempt at the Mexican Grand Prix, some drivers decided they don't want to have a good start here. Infratic, I don't know if he's learned from his mistakes, Tom Wilkinson, because he appears to be running the soft tyre. We saw this in the previous attempt, and it didn't work very well for him.
You say it didn't work, but he did go from P18 to P11 inside the first lap. So if we look short term, this could be very good for Fabio. The problem was he chipped off part of his front wing, and that threw him right to the back of the pack again. He was fighting albeit like a lion, but fighting nonetheless just to hold on to places and losing a lot of time to the group in front. Skating over the grass goes a couple of cars. There's a Williams, and I think that's Lodanova, who did this on the first formation lap, trying to make the track as short as possible. Tim McMarlick, about 10 years ago, did a Mexico in under 60 seconds challenge on YouTube. If anyone wants to pull that one out and see if anyone can get close to that on this formation lap, then very much be our guests. I believe, though, this is a 100% race. Yes, one of 71. That's not a 50% race, otherwise it'd be 142 laps. So it looks like we're going all over again.
Which seems to be the decision to change the starting grid then. Personally, but hey, it's not my championship. I guess we are getting ready for a restart with the grid that was at the end of lap 20 on a new 100% race. Safso's raced over 110 races in Credit Series, only has an 8% DNF rate compared to Fabio's 15% over similar race starts. It is a 100% race, ladies and gentlemen, on a different grid.
100%. For the second time, we're going to charge down to turn number 1. 125% race, 91 laps, I believe is the number. And remember, if you weren't here at the start, ERS has been disabled. Everybody on none for the entirety of this race. DRS is going to be very important, as are the setups and the wings that you run. We've got soft tyres, we've got medium tyres, we've got hard tyres, and we still have a very mixed up grid. For the second time, it's deja vu all over again. We have 5 lights. It's McLaren versus Ferrari this time, and it's lights out, and we are racing in Mexico City. Safso gets off like an absolute rocket and is going to be putting that McLaren under significant pressure down into turn number 1, and already Razin Chai using the slipstream to his advantage as well. Surely we're 3 wide. No, Safso dropping back in this race down to T1. Concept looks to have it covered, but here comes the Season 5 champion charging around the outside still of turns 2 and 3. He's going to get run out of road, and Concept getting his elbows at contact with Sauber into the barriers. GB slammed into the wall. Contact between himself and Tukey. The Sauber taking a nibble, a bite, a mouthful out of the barrier, and his race has been ruined on lap number 1. Now Tim McMarlick battling away with his former team. A big slide though for the former 2-time champion. Could it put paid to his assault around the outside, missing the apex by a country mile, and Safso holds on, but crucially dropping behind Razin.
Yeah, it's certainly not as clean of a start as our last race just a few moments ago. But Concept still in the lead of this Grand Prix, leading by about 0.6 of a second, but now got a different man chasing him down with Razin Chai finding himself in second place. But terrible start from GB there, falling down the places, as Adam Sanderson is getting 6 places off the start. Infratic getting another 6 places off the start. This is really like deja vu.
100%. Good start for Kareem as well. Former champion up into P7. All over the back of his teammate Dak Vince as well through the Piratella. But it's Concept 7 once again leading the charge in the Papaya McLaren car. 0.8 of a second. He has in his back pocket as well over Razin Chai. Gillen slow out of the final corner. Under pressure, under the microscope from Formula Kai. Remember, looking for his first victory in the Creator Series. Does he have the straight line speed? Does he have the overspeed to challenge this Haas into turn 1? Just trying to eke out as much performance from that RB as he possibly can at the top end. Gillen's going to hold it around the outside, turns to the inside of 2, back to the outside of 3 we go. Has he got the traction on the exit? You bet Alex Gillen's got the traction on the exit, but enter Carl Paranik, who fancies a piece of the action as well. Infratic has got his front wing tap this time. He could make up a couple of places. A love tap from Formula Kai is delivered to Alex Gillen. Carl still trying to hang it around the outside. That becomes the inside of 5, but there is front wing fluttering about. I think it is off Carl.
Yeah, Carl's damaged front wing, still looking to keep with his 100% Creator Series win rate, but that front wing damage is not going to do him any favours in the opening stages of this Mexican Grand Prix. I feel like I've said this one before, but Concept still leading the Grand Prix here by 0.6 of a second. Safso still within DRS of Razin. It was a top 3 we had previously, but it was a different way round, but this time it's sticking very, very similar.
100%. Scott Taylor missing from the party as well. Was very much in that ballpark, but now down in position number 14 with it all to do. And that's two Mercedes nipping at its heels as well. Concept with the fastest lap of the race. The gap is equidistant as it was at the end of lap 1, 0.8 of a second. Although Razin this time has the aid of a little bit of DRS to try and drag him up to the back of the Papaya car. Tim McMurdoch is in the game as well, just about clinging onto the coattails of Safso, who in turn is clinging onto the coattails of Razin. And here come the Aston Martins, the Green Machines, trading places, trading blows. Cream 17, we haven't spoken too much about him this evening. He's now up into position number 6, one of the highest places that he has been so far this season.
Yeah, it certainly has. He's looking good up in 7th place, battling with his teammate, Kareem 17. Someone else I haven't mentioned since the restart is Scotty Design, by the way, up in 15th place, made 5 places up on the restart here, and will he make up another one here, getting past Mr. Scott Taylor, who, let's be honest, from his brilliant front row, I should say, has had a miserable second start to the race, and kind of, in his eyes, I'd say he'd been wrong.
Oh, Carl trying to dangle it, but this is emphatic round the outside. Picture book perfect from Fabio, and he's managed to put Carl firmly into his back pocket. Those soft tyres working nicely once again for the Alpine. Carl struggling, grappling for confidence and downforce with the front wing damage. Scotty Designs wants a piece of this as well, dangles it down the inside of 12. Carl falls off the circuit and has to relinquish yet another spot. Scott Taylor in on the act as well, darting to the inside, trying to catch Carl unawares. He won his first race in the Creator Series, did clip with Carl, but he's just struggling to hold on to places here with this damage.
Yeah, he's really struggling with that front wing damage. But that battle with Carl has cost Scott Taylor here, as he's now under pressure from Chappers, who's having a much better start of this Grand Prix. But look at that straight line speed from that Red Bull, really not on the side of the Mercedes. As here is Mr. Lord Gillen battling with Formula Kai, but losing out down into 11th place.
Won't mind too much though, because Gillen on those hard compound tyres, he will remember what happened in the first race. The first 5 or 6 laps weren't great. Then he was so much quicker as the soft tyres died, as the medium tyres degraded as well. Watch out for the reigning champion. He will come on strongly in the second half of this first stint. Cream 17, 2 seconds off the back of Lolanova, who is grappling to stay with the leading quartet. Tim McMurdoch doing a very good job in an Alpine that isn't really suited to this race circuit to keep that Ferrari, the Haas, and crucially the McLaren out in front in check. Razin Chai happy to sit and watch behind Concept 7, as we saw Safso do in the first attempt at this Mexican Grand Prix.
Certainly does. Safso sitting pretty in 3rd place at the moment, a position he's got a lot used to in this Grand Prix. Sorry, I was eating a Chelsea bun when you brought over to me, so I do apologise for that. Safso closing in on Razin once again. I feel like I've been saying that a lot, but not really making a dent, because they're both running that Ferrari engine in the back of their car.
100%. Hopefully the Chelsea bun isn't a loser. That's a joke that if you're a Chelsea fan, I'm very, very sorry after you lost to Sunderland. Zach Gavins, meanwhile, is going to try and pull back past his teammate and push the screen back down into 7th place in this race. Adam Sanderson and Meraki, the 2 other drivers in this choo-choo train. Then it's a 1.6 second gap back to Formula Kai. Here comes GB68, but he's missed his braking zone by about 4 days, sends it off into the runoff area and dropping out of the DRS train that he was working so hard to get back into. Queued up behind his teammate. Both Saubers struggling in the early stages. GB spun around after contact with Tukey on lap 1, and Carl also picking up damage on lap 2. Not been a great start for the lime green cars.
GB taking the advice of Lance Stroll there, send it and pray, almost making up that move into 17th place, but currently sitting in 18th. Not really affecting him that much, the damage that he got on lap 1, if he picked up any. Yeah, we're also hearing from Mr. Gareth Allen that he was also surprised at the 100% race. But you know what? We're here for racing, and that's what we're getting. Chappers kicked off season, I was going to say XI, as the 11, thank you, dyslexia for the win, as the cleanest driver in Baku, an accolade he hopes to continue on. Well, let's hope he can do that here, as Chappers is going to get past Scott Taylor. Can he do it cleanly?
Well, that is going to be his aim. Remember, Chappers all the way back into round 1 at Baku. Picked up pole position, his first Creator Series pole position. Let's not forget, and surely it's going to blast past that Red Bull with relative ease, as you said. Carl's managed to put a little bit of distance between himself and Scott. That leaves the Red Bull ever so vulnerable, but it doesn't look like the Mercedes really has the overspeed. Bit of a draggy car as the Silver Eye, but he just about manages to find the top end speed from somewhere and pulls past Scott Taylor. Was second at the start of round number 1 tonight. Now is down in P16. That's safety car has really scuppered Scott Taylor's chances of finishing on the podium, you would have to say. The Aston Martin's also continuing to do battle, as are, who is this? Scotty Designs trying to put one over on Infratic. This is a chance for the Mercedes. Remember, caused the safety car from crashing in the first attempt this evening. He was brought back to life, revived with the disconnect for Ben Daly that caused the lobby to end itself, but Infratic is just about going to hold on to 12th position for the time being.
Yeah, in a sense, you could say Scott Taylor caused the crash and caused us into another 100% race. So, not Scott Taylor, Scotty Designs. Wrong Scotty. But he's still in 13th place, battling with the likes of Infratic. Infratic not being able to catch up to Mr. Gillen here. He hasn't got front wing damage this time, though, but those soft tyres will definitely be struggling in this Mexico heat. But someone who's not struggling is still our race leader, still comfortably 4 tenths clear of Razin Shai. But Razin closing in little by little.
Yeah, comfortable may have been a little bit kind there into turn 1. Concept definitely would have been checking those rearview mirrors, and Razin out of turn 3 like an absolute bullet here. Got an opportunity if he can just try and get as close as he possibly can. No ERS, remember, that's the wild card. You can't burn it to try and gain advantage over the driver in front. It's all down to classic straight line speed and slipstream, early 2010s racing, if you like, pre-hybrid era F1. And the Haas wasn't quite able to make any real impression on the McLaren at the second time of asking. Safso got to keep his wits about him as well. Got to get his skates on because he's now 1 second off the back of them. But that little mistake from Razin into turn number 7, just struggling with rear locking, bit of a wobble on the entry to the corner, just brings the Ferrari back into play. A look at Timo Marduk on the prow as well. Yeah,
Timo Marduk has definitely brought himself back into this fight. A 4-way fight for a Grand Prix lead. We've not seen this for a long time. And around the streets, well, I was going to say the streets of Mexico, around the circuit of Mexico, it could be a very, very interesting fight in a few laps' time as everyone starts to lose a little bit more tyre grip, but they're all closing and closing in. And Safso out of that DRS range, he didn't get it on this time, and he may be under pressure from Timo Marduk here. Of course, no ERS, really showing how reliant these cars are on that extra boost of energy.
100%. Here comes the Haas looking menacingly at the back of the Papaya McLaren. Concept keeps the lead for the time being. Safso, in turn, also holds on to position number 3 as well. Remember, former teammates back in Season 2 of the Creator Series, both driving, coincidentally, McLaren cars. Timo Marduk looking to pick up his first win, remember, in 199 days.
199 days. That is not a record you want on your books. Of course, there is a lot of drivers that have not even sniffed a win in the Creator Series, and Ben, I'm sure, will want to get back on that top step of the podium anytime soon. And he has got close on occasion, but never come closer. And today he may get that opportunity, but he needs to get him past the first champion of the Creator Series, Safso. Vince got a long overdue win back in Zandvoort. Reverse. That means we don't expect him to win until season 20 now. Well, you know what? That's good math, and maybe that is when it will happen.
Good maths, but wouldn't it be season 21 potentially, because he went 10 seasons without a victory and then won it in the 11th? Not to be a pedant or anything, but just some analysis that we could potentially use there. Anyway, TK's just shut me up by saying it's actually 22. I've made myself look like a right idiot there, so I'm going to move on and pretend like none of it ever happened. The two Aston Martins, we will focus back on them. Very much in no man's land at this stage. Vince 2 seconds off the back of Lolly, 3 seconds the gap between Kareem and Meraki, who has managed to eventually get past Adam Sanderson in the battle for 8th and 9th. Formula Kai very close to the back of the Red Bull as well. I would not be surprised if Kai is making a move on the rundown into turn number 1. You can see the gap is half a tenth per second. Carl getting ahead of Infratic. There goes Kai as well. Passing the Red Bull of Adam Sanderson. Does Adam keep his nose in there? No, he does not. He was a little bit undecided. That could leave him vulnerable because Alex Gillen, if you know something about Alex Gillen, is when he sniffs an opportunity, he very much takes it. He's now on the outside of Adam Sanderson. Drag race on the run up into turn number 4. The Haas has the overspeed. Adam Sanderson is braver under brakes. Bit of a wobble as well. Alex has to be careful, but he does manage to negotiate the Red Bull and push him down a further spot. Gillen back up inside the top 10.
Certainly into the top 10. Mr. Gillen climbing through the positions here up into the top 10. You've now started an argument in the chat as now Gareth Allen is saying that he didn't actually race season 1, which means technically you were correct on the season 20.
Get in.
So,
big fan of that. No, no, I was wrong. I've been told again. We don't know. If anybody did a maths degree or something, statistics potentially, then just let us know, because we clearly don't have the intellectual level to work out a very simple equation. Back to the front as we start that number 10. Raz is still sitting in behind, digging into the trench behind the McLaren of Concept 7. I think Raz is just playing the long game here. You can see getting out of the turbulent air, trying to keep that Haas car as cool as he possibly can, because he knows this is a big opportunity. Like we said right at the start of the broadcast, about 2.5 days ago, that this is a huge chance for him to take a big chunk out of Meraki's championship lead. Into the pits comes Adam Sanderson for the first time. Soft tyres off, hard tyres go on that Red Bull Racing car. He'll be looking to make a big impression with the undercut card that he's just pulled from the deck.
Yeah, and we saw Adam Sanderson, we saw one of the Red Bulls pull this move out earlier, Scott Taylor doing the same thing. Didn't really work out too well because of that safety car, but it did come to a good position before that safety car came out. So maybe Adam's thinking along similar lines. Those soft tyres clearly were struggling on those last few laps, but it is still a long way to go. We're only on lap 10 of 71 here. It may seem like it's lap 30, ladies and gentlemen, but I can promise you it's only lap 10.
Yes, 61 laps to go, and if we add the 20 we did before, this will be the longest race in Creator Series history, I believe, unless you count the Indy 500, of course, which happened on a different game. But this is F1, and that 91-lap Mexican Grand Prix should surely take the biscuit as the longest Creator Series race ever. For some of them, yes, they've got a little bit of a break in between. This will feel like a proper endurance race, especially if you've got proper force feedback on those wheels that a lot of the drivers are going to be using. The two RBs following in the footsteps of one another, Formula Kai and Lord Gillen, have closed up to the back of Meraki. Gillen, another driver, getting out of the slipstream, trying to cool the car as best as he possibly can. Emphatic's pace on the soft tyres has dropped off an absolute cliff. Now 3 seconds off the back of a wounded Carl who's missing half of his front wing. And Jappa saying, I'll have a piece of this action, and he wants 13th place to be handed from Team Alpine over to Team Mercedes. The DRS is open for them. Watch out for Scott Taylor as well, jinking and ducking and weaving all over the place behind the pair of them. Jappa's braver on the brakes. Emphatic doesn't have the traction on those ailing soft compound tyres and has to relinquish P13 for the time being. Off the road behind goes GB, taking a very interesting line there. It's not worked out to his benefit, it has to be said. Fabio, second bite of the cherry. Can he come back at the silver? I watch for Scott Taylor again. Punchy is he? No. Opts to sit in behind into the braking zone. And
Emphatic, once again, like we saw in the previous outing, it's down the inside goes Scott Taylor. He's been given a 3-second time penalty. Exceeding track limits. That's not what you want to see from Scott Taylor. And he just tried to make a move and did not work out for the Red Bull man, and now he's under pressure from Mr. GB, who was driving his own circuit a couple of corners ago, but he's found his way back on to the tarmac. And here comes Scott Taylor again to try and make that move stick on Emphatic. Will he go down the inside? He thought about it. He did think about it twice, and it's caused a big accident. He spun round, but not collected GB68.
But he has collected Chesnoid Gaming, who is an innocent bystander. Yellow flags are out. Virtual safety car deployed. Just watch for the pit lane exit. See if the yellow dot comes out. That'll be the safety car. Still at the moment remains as a virtual one. But that looked opportunistic. Ambitious, I think, was the word in Scott Taylor's vocabulary that he was using there. Down into turn number 12. It is a pinch point on the apex. And if the two drivers don't tango very nicely and cleanly, then there are going to be some issues. GB blinking through the pits. Ends up starting P7 on the grid. Penalties handed out to Scott Taylor and Chesnoid Gaming. They've obviously become entangled and entwined once again under the safety car. We return to see GB inside Fabio. That is not exactly ideal, but we return to the clean driving at the front end of the field. Still just the virtual safety car for us to be aware of as well. Interesting to see who can get the jump. Typically, we see somebody mess up the restart and pick up a drive-through penalty. Razin into the back of Concept 7. Doesn't look to be any damage for the Haas car, but that was most certainly a Code Brown moment there for Razin, because he nearly ended his race and potentially the race of the driver behind. Tim Marlis past Safso in all of this kerfuffle going on as well. Razin Chai's just been let through by Concept 7 as well. Safso, I think, is being let through by Tim Marlis. Calamities at the front. I don't think any of us have any clue what went on.
A very strange incident there. You do not see that. It was a very rookie mistake there from Razin to go right into the back of Concept F1, but he's managed to find himself back in second place now, with Razin now leading the Mexican Grand Prix. And I wonder if that was a little bit of a ploy to get DRS, and that could be the reason why he wanted it. That McLaren is fast in a straight line, but is he fast enough to get past the Haas car? He's got on the outside line here, and surely with a little bit of ERS, not ERS, sorry, they should not use that ERS, surely a bit of DRS, they make their position. They certainly do. They're back up into the lead of the race as the two Aston Martins carry on their battle for 6th and 7th.
Yeah, and still no man's land, the two Aston Martins. Here's Carl batting away with Scotty Designs, by the way. They've got Meraki just in front, who's lost a whole host of time. Was at one stage ahead of his teammate and Lord Gillen. Now 2 seconds off the back of the reigning champion. Carl gets his elbows out, holds on to PLM for the time being. Scotty will get another opportunity, but with no battery to burn, he won't be close enough to make an audacious lunge down the inside into turn number 4. Gets very close, though, to the Sauber. Through 5 and up towards 6 we go. Bit of a train forming here. The two RBs, you can see Alex Gillen still very much in the distance. And then it's 3.5 seconds to the dueling Aston Martins. And the DRS train as well out in front. I was going to say it's reformed, but Razin has had an absolute stinker through the middle sector. I think he's missing half of his front wing.
Yeah, I think
Sasso's going to lap this one up, trying around the outside of 12. That is ambitious to say the least. I think he just about keeps it within the track limits, but he pushes Razin down into 3rd place, albeit for the time being, because it's going to be the Haas that gets the advantage of the DRS. Concept 7 has been afforded the opportunity to scamper off into the distance out in front. It's 2 seconds the margin now between the McLaren and the Ferrari car. Tim Marlick saying, I think I can make a few interesting moves here. Lolonova's cruised up to the back of this as well. Watch out into turn 1, everybody. This could be spicy. Razin taking 2nd place back from Safso. Big opportunity for Ben to put one over on his former team. It's going to dangle the nose of the Alpine down the inside into turn number 1. Safso holding firm around the outside. It's going to be the inside of 3 for Tim Marlick. Can he muscle his way past his former teammate? Bit of bumping and grinding, bit of contact, and it continues to rage on the run up into turn number 4. Lolinova fancies his chances as well. What card is he going to play? It's the Australian ace charging around the outside once again, and Safso eventually concedes defeat in that battle, and he might be losing 2 places. He's been absolutely pocket pinched by the Williams and Lolinova.
Absolutely mugged off there by the Williams of Lolly Nova. Just found that opportunity down the inside. Very clean racing, I must say, from all 3 of them. But yeah, Razin Chai with that wing damage, probably due to that collision on the back of the McLaren in that restart. The Concept found himself in the lead of the race now by 2.7 seconds, and with a bottleneck of Razin Shai, this is going to be a very interesting next part of this Grand Prix. But Safso, I'm sure, will be coming back into it shortly. Obviously, it is a Ferrari versus the Renault engine, and of course, versus the Mercedes engine. We've got a very 3-way fight here for who's got the fastest engine.
100%. Absolutely terrible race, isn't it? We're seeing absolutely no battling, no wheel-to-wheel racing from any of the drivers on the grid. Razin Chai vulnerable once again, but considering he's got a little bit of front wing damage, that top end speed is going to be slightly higher than it was before, but that is not going to put Tim Marlikov, the 2-time champion, is going to dart to the outside. Can he hang it? Can he dance it around the outside of Razin? Little bit of contact as the debris is thrown up, but that is picture book perfect once again from Ben. Up into 2nd place he charges. Razin Chai now left to squabble with Lolinova and renew the spores with Safso. Hold that thought though, because Ben in that Alpine slow in a straight line. Razin dangling the nose of the Haas down the inside. Again there's contact, and where can Lolinova go? He just about avoids the sideways Haas of Razin Chai. Was there space? We'll have to review it in not too long, but Tim and Marlik hold 2nd place. Lolinova and Safso continue to stick their teeth into one another as well. Safso tried to hang it around the outside of 6 and 7, but didn't quite make it stick.
They say you can't race in Formula One cars these days, and they're proving us wrong here this afternoon. Proper good wheel-to-wheel fighting. But yeah, looked like a little bit of a dive there from Razin Shai. I think feeling a little bit desperate, a little bit vulnerable on that damaged front wing. What it has done, though, is split the Aston Martins by about 1.5 seconds, and Dago Vince is going to struggle to get past the Haas car here, but I think Razin Shai may be pulling it into the pit stop, or is Razin backing it up here? Because I don't know if we mentioned it, Mr. Gillen has got himself within 3/10 as Razin pulls into the pits and sends a bollard halfway across the circuit. But here is Mr. Gillen going to go for it here, DRS wide open, and it's not even going to be a contest, or is it? Because the 2 cars have got very similar straight line speed, but that Aston Martin just loses out in top speed against the Ferrari, and Lord Gillen takes 6th place.
Very interesting goings on there. Threw a bollard onto the circuit, did Razin, but also threw panic into the Aston Martin garage as Datkovin saw Alex Gillen lurking behind him, and eventually now he sees him passing him with quite ease as well. And in the chat as well, Timo Among Us, I hope that's right on YouTube, called it, said that Razin and Ben were going to collide. That is absolutely what happened. You must be some kind of wizard, my friend. Although it did look quite predictable with the way that the racing was going. But 4 seconds, that gap out in front is now huge between Concept and Tim Marlik. Hold that thought, because Meraki trying to hold on to 10th place. Scotty Designs afforded this second life. He's been rebirthed, revived by the restart that we had, but he can't quite get ahead of the championship leader. Meraki struggling a little bit, grappling on those medium tyres. Nearly 3 seconds, 3.5 seconds, in fact, off the back of Carl in front of them, who's got front wing damage, let's not forget.
Yeah, I think it's a very different race here. It's feeling like the medium tyres are starting to really struggle in the heat of Mexico. And Meraki not really able to make up those places in that RB. Clearly not suited to this Grand Prix circuit with his championship rival, Mr. Gillen, up in 6th place. Of course, Razin did do him a bit of a favour, backing up the field as much as he could. But I don't know if that was by choice or not with that front wing damage. But it's something I will say, Concept, what a brilliant drive he is running here. Obviously, with that restart, could have changed his mind. It's down the inside, goes Safso on Lolly. No, but a little bit of contact there, as it's also going to open the door for Kareem 7 to have a look, as Carl is also getting past Formula Car. It's all happening in the mid-pack here. Carl, even with that damaged front wing, finds himself in the top 8.
That Sauber with wing damage is going to feel like an absolute boat to try and navigate through the middle set, but Carr doing a very commendable job of it, disposing of both RBs in the space of just a few laps. And up into the top 8 now for the first time today goes the 100%, remember 100% race winner in the Craze Series. Yes, it's 1 out of 1, but it could become 2 out of 2 if he continues to get his skates on. This big group of cars has been converged on each other, from Tierman Marduk down to Lord Gillen, who has come out of absolutely nowhere. All the battling between the drives that are still there and Razin Chai with the damage has allowed Gillen on those hard tyres, let's not forget, to bring himself very, very much into the fray. And Datka, Vince and Carl, they're not too far off the back of them either.
There we go. We're seeing the tyres at the moment. Medium tyres still for the top 11, apart from Mr. Gillen and Carl on those hard tyres. And that's going to be a very big investment on those hard tyres. With this still being a 100% race, there's still a lot of laps to go. And Mr. Gillen will have to go onto a set of mediums at some point to do his 2 different sets of tyres.
100%. Now he's applying the blowtorch to Cream 17, who has to go defensive. He realises the threat from the reigning champion. Gillen's going to try and go around the outside, but doesn't even need the braking zone of turn number 1 and puts Kareem 17 in his place. The reigning champion trying to chase down Meraki in the season 11 standings up inside the top 5. Dak Govins making his way down pit road, along with Scotty Designs, by the way, who fancied a new set of boots as well.
Yeah, he's certainly having a decent race, a lot better than his previous encounter, because a lap to go, and this is where he probably would have crashed in a different timeline. But luckily, that timeline doesn't exist, because Sorry Designs, by the way, is still running and in front of Ricky 03.
We've got the call for a safety car in 10 laps as well. So if that happens, I mean, we're going to have to give you some kind of reward for the Nostradamus effect that you've got. Ricky once told us his favourite dish was boiled mint meat bolognese, only if you snap the spaghetti in half first. I have so many questions that have been raised from that. Not exactly an Italian delicacy, it has to be said.
No, if he went to Italy and asked for that, he wouldn't be able to leave Italy. Still wouldn't be able to leave Italy.
If he went to Italy, if he returned to Italy, if he stayed in Italy, he wouldn't be able to get out of Italy, because they would be so disgraced by the abomination of that meal. Concept 7, as we start 19, continues to charge. Soldier on out in front. 4.5 seconds the gap between himself and the former 2-time Creator Series champion Alex Gillen on the move and in the groove once again, as he fancies taking 4th place off the hands of Safso. Ever since he had that little run in, that tete-a-tete with Razin Chai, Safso hasn't quite had the pace to try and hold on to places and maybe get a few back. Alex Gillen surging now up into P4, the reigning champion, looking very, very strong is that Haas car.
How many times have we said this in the Creator Series? Even when Alex Gillen somehow doesn't have the race pace, he's finding himself up in the top 4. But this afternoon, this second race, this second bite of the cherry, he's looked very, very good. And he's almost up to his old sparring partner in Tierman Marduk.
That could be interesting. Watch for the fireworks, everybody. Make sure you open the curtains or the blinds wherever you're sat watching this, because you'll see them exploding in the distance. Believe you me, Kareem 17 doing a very good job as well, considering how much he struggled with that racing line turned off. Doing a very commendable job up there in 6th position in that battle for 2nd place on the road. Just biding his time. He allowed Gillen to go through, realised that Gillen, A, is much quicker at this stage, and the hard tyres are much quicker at this stage as well. Didn't need to fight that and lose time. Just needs to make sure he just keeps tabs on this group in front.
He's certainly doing a good job of that. I mean, the Aston Martins have done a very good job, both of them. Obviously, I think Vince has come into the pit stop now, but Kareem 7, without that magic rainbow dragon, or whatever we called it, has not found himself looking too bad in the second half of the race, as Lord Gillen gets himself up into the top 3. That Ferrari engine is just a monster compared to that to the Williams one. And is he going to get the Alpine into turn 1 as well? He certainly is. Mr. Gillen is up into the top 2.
Well, Ben slow in a straight line, A, because he didn't have ERS, and B, because he's driving an Alpine car. Surprised he got past Lolonoba so easy, but he's got so much more grip, traction, and confidence on those hard compact tyres. The pair of them were both sitting ducks on the run into turn number 1. We can now see what kind of pace Alex Gillen's got in clean air. You'd expect he's going to drop this group very, very quickly. Watch for Carl as well, also on the hard compact tyres. Can he soldier on? Can he try and bypass these 5 cars at a rate of knots, as Alex Gillen did?
And we were going to say this when we got to this point about an hour ago on lap 20. So we're now technically 40 laps in to this Mexico Grand Prix, but we're only 20 laps into this Grand Prix. Work out that math for you. But it's looking very good for the guys on hard tyres now. This is the difference on that tyre where, of course, the ERS really does do a good job of patching up the difference on worn tyres. But now they haven't got that option, and the hards are certainly the better race tyre right now. And even Carl, with his damaged front wing, is still a monster of a car, and he's looking like he could challenge for the top 4 here.
Safso really struggling. I say that he might be off the road. No, he's into the pits. Yes, I thought he might have dropped it coming out of the final quarter. In fact, it's just him getting shot and dropping those medium compact tyres. What colour are they? I think they're white stripe tyres.
Yeah.
I believe it is dark, and yes, they are the hard compact tyres.
The hard colour.
Going on the... Did I say hard colour?
No, our producer did.
Oh, okay. Well, TK... I mean, he left me speechless there, but he's going to get spat out of the pits and potentially renew the spoils with Razin Chai again, although the undercut has enabled Razin to have a little bit of a leg up over Safso. And it was interesting because Safso, come the end of that stint, was really, really struggling for pace. Ever since the contact between himself and Razin, just didn't quite have the legs that he had in the early 10 laps, let's say. And even in the first attempt we had at this race, the pace wasn't really comparable.
Yeah, he's definitely been struggling more and more as the race has gone on. I don't know if it's a case of, obviously, tyre wear, but he's now on a fresh set of boots, so hopefully we can see his pace start to come back. Gillen is closing that gap down, by the way. 4 seconds is now the gap between Concept and Mr. Gillen, and those hard tyres are definitely doing wonders for him. I should imagine we can see the McLaren come into the pits shortly to get on a set of hard tyres. I thought he was going to be there because he's very slow coming out that. But 3.7 seconds now, that gap is going to come down super, super fast.
Split the pack behind as well, because Lord Gillen now 1.4 seconds ahead of his old sparring partner Tim Marduk. Kareem's dropped off the back of this group as well. Carl is on the move. He fancies getting ahead of Lolonoba in the Williams. The Sauber's quick in a straight line, but so is the Mercedes-powered Williams car. But this shouldn't really be a contest as Carl pulls alongside. Carl has the ascendancy into the braking zone, and Carl has P4 under his control. And now second in front is Tia Marduk. Look at Alex Gillen, though, taking chunks of time out of Concept 7. Gillen's a real threat in this race. Yes, he started from the back in attempt number 1. Qualified P8 for the second start, the restart we had. Dropped back a couple of places as the hard tyres took a little bit of time to fire up. But now they're very, very much working. And he is soldiering on in this race. Now, at 22, things have just calmed down ever so slightly. We're coming towards the pit stop phase, and I think it is a perfect time to head over to Josh Richards down in Clipbook Corner to give us the lowdown on some of the things we may have missed.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, we can jump our way back towards lap 1. This was how GB's race got started. It wasn't the greatest of starts for the Sauber driver. One of the drivers who probably should be contesting for this Drivers' Championship. Made his way nice and cleanly through the first 2 corners, but then as he makes his way out of turn 3, just gets hooked on there with Tukey, and into the barrier they went. Tukey picking up a lot of damage. I don't think GB actually picked up any damage there. Gets himself back going, but down in P20. The next incident also involving GB as he was trying to fight his way back through. Now in P18 here on lap 5, heading down towards turn 1. Gaining on Chesnoid, thinking about the move to the inside. Just misses his braking point. I think he might have actually had a bit of an issue with his brakes, similar to what Fabio had. Because I've just looked at his braking input and it sort of jumps to about 20%, then nothing really happens. I'm not sure whether that's an input issue from his side or whether there was maybe a bit of a pedal issue there for GB, but that cost him a little bit of time as well. Then we had the crash here between Scott Taylor and Fabio, which caught up a couple of drivers and I think brought out a virtual safety car, which we will see a little bit more from in just a few moments. But Fabio here coming down towards turn number 15, 16, something like that. Bit of contact there on the inside, spins Scott Taylor around. GB just about avoids that. Very nearly a third incident for him in a row. And Chesnoid unfortunately gets caught out with that one as well. And that's what brings out the virtual safety car here, which then we see on the restart. We saw a couple of issues here. which ultimately bringing Razin Chai out of contention. The race has gone green for Razin. DRS enabled. He's back racing. Hits the back of Concept. The interesting thing, though, on Concept's screen, at that point in time, he doesn't have anything here to say that the safety car is ending. He is still under his delta. And in fact, he stays under his delta all the way through the S's. He is not racing yet. And he is just driving as if nothing is happening. He has no idea what's happened with Razin. It's a really unfortunate set of consequences that he couldn't really control. He's only just, I think, gone green now here, which is when Razin now finally overtakes him. But I think Razin just had a completely different delta to him.
Interesting. Unfortunate bit of desyncing there going on, which is eventually what has caused the downfall of Razin Chai. Hello, Alex. Just returning to the camera there. Don't know what you were doing off camera. Maybe having a bit of a snack midway.
I was eating
through.
food. That's
Oh,
DK's fault. You should have been paying attention.
I mean,
It is.
it
It was
nice?
jacket potato. It's very nice.
Classic jacket potato there. Fabio's found himself up in P7, by the way. He's got GB and Razin Chai to deal with. Let's not forget Safso not really making any impression on his new tyres. 2 seconds off the back of Vince, who's tracking very nicely in the Aston Martin. But speaking of tracking nicely, here's our reigning champion. Cruising, probably a bit hard, charging up to the back of Concept 7. Been the runaway leader for the majority of this race. Started from pole twice, but is now very much under threat. What does he do as the Haas looms large in the rear view mirrors of our pole sitter? 3.5 seconds back to Carl Pranic behind, who has managed to dispose of Tiamat Marduk. Lodano, but just trying to cling on to that due in front of them as well.
Surely it's going to be an easy pass for Mr. Gillen. That Ferrari car, and that that class car, I should say, with the Ferrari engine is very fast in a straight line. But in the corners, you'd expect the McLaren to have more grip, but those medium tyres have been on for 25 laps at this point, and those hards are clearly the race tyre to be on at this point. You'd expect Concept to surely be thinking about a pit stop soon, but if they are thinking about a one stop here, this would be a very early pit stop to make those hards to the end.
100%. This should be very, very interesting from a strategy perspective. You would imagine the drivers, like you said, that have made their first stop are not going to be able to nurse those tyres to the end of the race, even though the hard tyres are a very, very good compound. Scott Taylor into the pits, drops down to P18, maybe lower, as Tukey is in the stadium section. We now look at Ricky 03 examining the rear geometry of the Mercedes of Chappers. Big cluster of cars here as well. We've got some drivers that haven't pitted, some drivers that have pitted. GB, Razin and Vince find themselves scrapping over the same piece of racetrack. Safso closing up to the back of them as well. And look at this, Alex Gillen looming, lurking very close behind. Chessboard Gaming has retired. I don't think that's in the pit lane, that's a safety car. Full course caution. Ches has dropped it out of the final corner. First retiree of race number 2. And that is going to spare the blushes of Concept 7. What does Alex Gillen do? Very similar to what happened about an hour ago. This time he is going to box. 5 laps further on into the race, 20 versus 25. Gillen has to get shot of those hard compound tyres. You would think he's going to have to make another stop.
You would expect so. He surely can't make those mediums go to the end. Though it turns out the F1 teams have made their new blinking pit stops, which I think is a very good improvement to F1 pit stops personally. It gets the action right back on the track.
Transferable pit boxes, and Gary, that's a new one, isn't it? Concept 7 still going to lead ahead of Gillen. Here comes GB charging down the straight. I think it's only going to be second, though. Third, I should say. For GB 68 with Razin in hot pursuit, staying out. Vince staying out along with Safso. Ches leaving the session. Kai staying out as well. Disappointing for Tiamat Marduk. He's got so many cars now between himself and his main sparring partner, Alex Gillen. And Carl as well, fixing that front wing, you would imagine, now down in P10. Ahead of Kareem and Meraki. And it has been pointed out in the YouTube chat, we had the safety car called 10 minutes. I'm not sure what exactly the time was, or whether it was 10 minutes or 10 laps, but Timo Among Us again, proving that he's some kind of wizard.
I think he's seen this race before.
Well, a lot of us have seen the first 20 laps before, it has to be said. Ches there caused one of the largest pile-ups in Creator Series history. I'm not sure if he took the blame for that one. Remember 2 weeks ago in Monaco, we had a sprint race in F2 cars, no less, and we had a complete car park going through turn 1. All 20 drivers caught up, except Matt 212, who managed to worm and wiggle his way through the parked cars. It was like playing a game of Rush Hour, just on quite a much bigger scale, and he eventually managed to pick up his first win in the Creator Series, despite, of course, it being a sprint race and doesn't entirely count as a full Creator Series victory.
Can we just take a moment to feel bad for Scott Taylor?
We can.
Because, I mean, the man started on the front row in our previous timeline, and now he finds himself in 19th place with a 3-second time penalty. And I feel like he's been hard done in this Grand Prix so far.
Yeah, this is now, while the safety car's out, this is going to turn to Scott Taylor's sympathy corner, I think. Qualified second, brilliant qualifying lap. He only obviously had one attempt. Remember back to qualifying that was 6 weeks ago? The rain came in the second half. We only had one flying lap. That is what led to such a mixed-up grid with a lot of the big hitters starting in the bottom half of the field. Some of them have worked their way through. The likes of Alex Gillen, the likes of GB68 as well have managed to fight their way back through the pack and will start this restart in second and third. But some of them still mired in the midfield. Meraki hasn't made too much progress. Cream 17 and Carl hurt a little bit by that safety car coming out, finding themselves in 10th and 11th respectively. And Fabio in P15 as well. The pace has been pretty strong. He just found himself in the wars a little bit too much.
Just hearing from our man over in the clipbook corner that Gillen was having 1.28% wear on his hards per lap, which is actually not really a lot, is it, on those hard tyres? So certainly the hards can make it to the end of this Grand Prix, but for
Will be a bit dicey.
Race.
Will definitely be a little bit dicey. If you maths, we proved about half an hour ago isn't any of our strong points, but
no.
71 times 1.3, you're probably going to be towards the 90% there. So I feel like, if you pitted at the end of lap 1 and tried to do the hard tyres at the end of the race, you would be having a bit of a dicey final few laps. However, if you pit now, you can probably, I'd say definitely take those hard tyres to the end of the race. Might be a bit slow when you get there, though.
Yeah, it might be. And of course, Gillen is actually on medium tyres. So the wear is going to be even more, and he's going to really struggle to make it to the end of this Grand Prix on those medium tyres. GB, I don't think he's pitted yet, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe he has, and I haven't seen it. But Tukey came second in Singapore, his best and only finish of the season so far. I mean, that is certainly one way of doing it. You only finish once, make sure you make it good.
100%. Retirement in Azerbaijan, retirement in the Singapore sprint, second in the feature race, or the main race, of course, then 11th in the Monaco sprint, and then retired from Monaco, as a lot of drivers did. Only 14 finishers in that race, I believe, 2 weeks ago. GB, by the way, we're just hearing as well, you can see it on screen there as well, he's already done 16 laps on this set of hard compound tyres. That could be a great opportunity for Concept 7 and Alex Gillen in particular on the mediums, which will be faster, albeit for a short period of time, to try and scamper off. GB looking very, very different, it has to be said. That hair transplant working pretty well now, it has to be said. But, there's Meraki now coming up on screen. But, GB, watch out. Same with Razin as well. The safety car has helped him, got him back into the equation, but he is on significantly older tyres, as is Datgar Vince, Safso and Formula Kai. Those drivers that stayed out, they've got the track position back, but they are on significantly worse tyres. So that dynamic in the first couple of laps, once the safety car comes in, is going to be fascinating.
Safety car should be in this lap. Everyone has caught up to the back of the safety car. Tukey just a few seconds behind it. But yeah, very interesting there. I didn't know GB was dressing up as Halloween of his favourite Meraki. But he did a very good job, I must say. It's almost spot on, you've got to say.
Surely you would dress as
look how good it is.
if you're trying to pull that one off. Anyway,
I mean,
safety car
it looks spot on.
I mean, he's done a very, very good job. One could say they do look like doppelgangers.
Yeah.
Safety car coming into the pits at the end of this lap. 29 is the number we are going to start. 29 is coincidentally the number of victories Alex Gillen would have if he was to be victor here in Mexico this evening. Is that an omen? We will have to wait and see. He's on the medium tyres, let's not forget. Concept 7 on the hard tyres. They will take a little bit of time to fire up. So watch for the reigning champion trying to be menacing into the final couple of corners, into the Perotada. Concept 7 holding firm around the outside. When does he choose to bolt? I think it is now. And he's going to put his foot flat to the floor for the next 20 seconds. You do not touch those brakes. And he is going to be under pressure, though. Alex Gillen tucking into the slipstream, trying to take the lead of this race for the very first time. The Haas ducking and weaving behind the McLaren car, pulling out to the middle of the circuit. Is Concept 7 going to be brave under brakes? Lots of jostling for position happening behind, but it's the reigning champion resuming his familiar place at the top end of the field. First for Alex Gillen, Concept 7 shuffled down into second place, and now we'll see the effects of those medium tyres in the early stages of this restart. GB under pressure, Razin Chai looking to try and push the Sauber out of the podium places. I haven't seen too much of GB apart from when he spun at the start of lap number 1, but he's found himself inside the podium places after all the trials and tribulations. Big Aguilar cars battling in the lower reaches of the top 10 as well. Lonanoba desperately holding onto places hand over fist. Carl and Cream 17 trying to find any which way past the Williams. Staunchly defended though by our Italian stallion.
Yeah, properly good wheel-to-wheel racing at the start of this restart. But you've got to say that was good overtake from Mr. Gillen into turn 1. But Concept won't be too worried at the moment. He knows he's on a better tyre come at the end of this Grand Prix. And he knows that Alex Gillen will have to make at least one more pit stop in this Grand Prix. So as long as he can stick close enough to him, the race is still in the hands of Concept F1.
Going to be difficult though, because already 1 second the margin between the Haas and the McLaren car. Alex Gillen is trying to check out in the lead of this race and put pressure on the cars behind, maybe use up a little bit more of their tyres than they were hoping to. Not even halfway through the Mexican Grand Prix here. It's that, 50 of 91. If you know, you know. GB struggling to cling onto the coattails of the McLaren as well. 9/10 of a second between second and third. Razin Chai following in hot pursuit. Here comes the Sauber car again, trying to have it out with Lonanova for the second time since the safety car made its way into the pits. But Lolly again, as we saw in Monaco a couple of weeks ago, one of the best defensive games in the Creator Series, holds firm and keeps that Sauber very much behind him.
Yeah, he's doing a good job. I mean, I must say, Carl's had a fantastic race here this afternoon. Even with that front wing damage, he's looked very pacey in that kick Sauber, but I believe he is now on those medium tyres, unless he's pitted onto a second set of hards, which I very much doubt. So he's on those medium tyres, and he is going to be making up those positions. He's on a second set?
Yes, he has put a second set of hard tyres on.
He will have to pit again. That will not be his last pit stop. He knows the pace on those hard tyres, so I get it, but he has forced himself into a two-stop strategy.
Boxing himself into the two-stop strategy. And if there is another safety car, Carl is going to be absolutely loving life, especially if it comes around lap 55 of this Mexican Grand Prix. Tim McMulloch close to the back of Formula Kai, who was wide through turn 12. So difficult to be precise and accurate and get it right every single time. And he's going to be under the cosh as we come out of the Piratella for the third time since the safety car made its way, disappeared into the pit lane, hopefully for the final time. Adam Sanderson making the most of a sloppy final corner for Kareem 17, the former champion, pushes the Aston Martin down a spot, although Kareem's going to have words about that one and try and nab it back with the helping hand of some DRS. Razin Chai very close to the back of GB into turn 1, taps the back of him not once but twice, now jumping over the sausage curves, trying to get the best line he possibly can, little bit wide, battling going on behind. This is emphatic, pushing Meraki down a spot. That is beautifully done by Fabio. The Alpine charging up into position number 13, the championship leader really up against it in this race at the moment, only going to pick up 2 points if it stays as it is.
Yeah, and of course, with Mr. Alex Gillen leading the way, that's going to cut his championship lead pretty much down to 0 at the race end. And it's going to be a lovely little points gain from Mr. Gillen. But yeah, Meraki not looking good down in 14th place. Emphatic with a lovely move past him into 13th. As Adam Sanderson sitting pretty in 11th right now on those medium tyres, but we know how much they drop off when they get more worn later into this Grand Prix. Oh, I thought he was going to go for a little dive there. He lit a bit too far back as Dago Vince and Razin Chai are going wheel to wheel in the stadium section. It is beautiful racing between the Aston and the Haas car, and down the inside goes the Aston Martin, and it's going to leave the door open for so who also makes it past Razin Chai. Razin Chai's had an awful couple of corners, but now he's got DRS and straight line speed on his behind, and he's going to get right back into 4th place with Safso following in behind. It's Razin Chai from Safso from Dago Vince. A long sequence of corners that was.
Vince thought he had 4th place in his graph. Here comes Adam Sanderson, back a car around the outside. The Sauber defence is easy. Now has the inside for turn 3. Adam Sanderson, the door is going to be slammed in his face by the former Creator Series winner. Carl holds on to P10. Formula Kai struggling, also has a penalty looming over his head. Lonanova and Tim McMulloch have made mincemeat of the RB, jucking it down the inside. Again goes Adam Sanderson. Carl has to jump out of the way, almost leaving the space for the Red Bull car. Now a little bit scrabbly for grip as Adam Sanderson trying to hang it around the outside, but once again, as we saw through turn 3, that door was always going to be slammed in his face.
Very difficult to make overtakes in that sector of this racetrack as Kareem also trying to recover here in 12th place with his teammates up in 6th. Obviously, without that magical rainbow snake, it's not looking as good for Kareem down in 12th. But he had been having some good pace up with his teammate Dago Vince. He was looking quite good, but after the pit stop phase, it's not worked out as well for him. Safso right in now in 5th place, sitting behind Razin Chai, who, let's be honest, I'd expect to have more pace considering the wear GB has on his hard tyres.
Razin clearly struggling though on those old hard tyres as well. Yes, they're not quite as old as GB, but the Haas car clearly doesn't have the pace. He was almost pocket pitched by that guy Vince into the final sector. Vince eventually came up third best in that little scrap, dropping behind the Ferrari of Safso as well, who's gaining all the time up to the back of Razin into the braking zone of turn number 1, but not gaining enough to make any real moves. Look at this, Adam Sanson looks so racy in that Red Bull Racing car. Carl having to have his wits about him because Adam Sanson, if he's just ever so slightly offline, that Red Bull will be alongside and trying to push him outside of the top 10. And Carl may have to think that attack is the best form of defence and put a car between himself and Sanderson.
Yeah, I think that's probably his best choice at the moment. Carl knows that he will have to make another pit stop again, so he's got to try and make these places up while he can, so he doesn't have too big of a loss when he eventually goes on those medium tyres, because without the use of ERS, without the ability to push on a brand new set of medium tyres, he really needs to place his now, and those hard tyres will become very, very good in the next few laps, and that could have been very much a corner cut warning there. He was right over the curb once the kick sounded.
Hard tyres good in a few laps, medium tyres clearly good now. Alex Gillen is 4.5 seconds clear out in front, and 7 seconds clear of GB in third place, because Concept 7, yes, he doesn't have the pace of Gillen, but he is rattling along at a very decent rate of knots. 2.5 seconds put between himself and the chasing pack behind the championship protagonist. Let's not forget that a dueling, squabbling behind them as well. Tim McMurdoch, haven't said too much of Ben since the safety car came in. Getting out of the turbulent air hasn't made any real impression on Dak Govitz down the straight, but did of course get ahead of Lolanoba and Formula Kai, so doing a good job. Diving down the inside goes Infratic. Kareem 17 is at daylight robbery in Mexico City. Again Fabio on the button, down into turns 1, 2 and 3, clinical as he was in getting past Meraki. The job is not done yet though, because Kareem 17 coming back with the helping hand of DRS as well. Safso has a look down the inside of Razin Chai, thinks better of it.
Ooh.
Out of control is Kareem 17, former champion, chipping off part of his front wing. Square tyres as well after locking all 4 of those Pirelli hard compound rubber, and he's going to stay in behind the Alpine of Infratic, and surely is going to be under pressure from the championship leader.
Yeah, and those tyres, to quote Martin Brundle, are going to be like a 50p piece running around this circuit. Really going to be struggling along, and that was a proper big lock up there from the Aston Martin, and it's caused him front wing damage. Really not what Kareem wanted for his confidence there, as he finds himself down in 13th place and surely going to be dropping more places in the coming laps, as Carl still pressurising the back of Formula Kai, but they're kind of stuck in a good old DRS train here and not really able to make up any ground.
They are, and Razin is the cork in the bottle. Safso hoping to remove that cork and start spraying the champagne to get up into 4th position. Carl 0.3 of a second off the back of Formula Kai. We return to this scrap that continues. Razin Chai and Safso been knocking 10 bells out of each other for the whole of this Mexican Grand Prix so far. The Ferrari, typically so fast in a straight line, can't make any real impression, can't even get alongside the Haas into the braking zone. And Safso, frustrating once again, has to just sit in and wait behind. Razin still doesn't have DRS to GB in front, although if he maintains this gap come the end of lap 35, he will have DRS down the main straight.
Yeah, and I just question how much downforce that Haas has been stripped away to allow himself to be so fast in straight line, as Carl has finally managed to put himself a car between Adam Sanderson. But Adam says, get back here, son, because he'd get himself into top 10 and managed to get himself past. But now it's 3 wide into that sector. Oh, and it's caused almost a massive accident with the likes of Formula Kai, who surely has somehow managed to keep that going in a straight line. But he needs to now probably let his teammate pass so Meraki can push on. But Meraki still not with the pace you'd expect. Formula Kai very lucky to come away with that with a little bit of position loss and not a load of damage on his front wing.
100%. Attempted the reverse entry drift into turn number 7. Everybody at home, that is not advisable. And it lost him, 3 places was in P9, dropped behind Carl, dropped behind Sanson, dropped behind Infratic and Kareem 17. Here we go again, round 436 between Razin Chai and Safso, but this time the Haas has the helping hand of the DRS, and Safso not even in the same ballpark, really. Look at this though, Dak Govitz is under pressure. Tim McMurdoch up the inside and picks 6th place off the hands of Dak Govitz. That's been a few laps coming as Vitz has been teetering on the edge of falling out of the 1 second window of that little trio in front. Now Ben has to get his skates on, get on his bike, because he's got Dak Govitz trying to fight it back down into turn number 4, and also he's 1.2 seconds off the back of the trio in front. Ben does hold on to position number 6. Now he needs to work at that gap in front.
Both that Renault engine and, of course, the Mercedes engine in the back of that car, as Lolly Noba is disconnected from the Grand Prix there, sitting it pretty in 8th place and probably going to lose another position to Carl, as of course the AI will take over the Williams driver. So that'll be a nice easy position for Carl to make. But he'll be using surely ERS here, and it's ERS is being used on Lolly Noba's car, and we can't disqualify them. They get back into the race. Surely, hopefully, they'll realise their ERS. They do not have a button to activate it, but good reconnection there from the Williams driver, and we're not going to disqualify from that. That was his AI choosing to deploy his ERS, not Lolly Noba. Well,
in the words of Tom Beener, that was illegal, but of course he wasn't in control of his car. Now darting past, I don't think he's got control yet, and with the helping hand of that overtake, he's going to fly past that guy, Vince. Kai's out of the race, but that is in the pit lane. Vince loses out on that spot, and that's going to be interesting to see what happens. Lolly's still not in control of that Williams car, which means that the ERS is going to continue to be dumped, and that AI is going to be picking off cars one by one by one. Whoa!
Dominic Kai leaves the session as well, and hopefully he's back in control, because otherwise that AI car is still going to use his ERS. Scott Taylor has got 10-second time penalty for ignoring yellow flag.
Interesting one there. That must have been while Kai was making his way into the pit. Sportingly, Lolly Noba lets that go Vince past. Very well done, Lolly, there. And he can now resume his assault on the Aston Martin without the use of the battery that the AI so kindly decided it was going to burn for him instead. Nearly 6 seconds the gap out in front, but Concept 7 is doing an exceptional job. Nearly 5 seconds between himself and the group behind. Yes, he's on fresher tyres. Yes, he's in a faster car, but the consistency of pace of that McLaren has been outstanding so far. And if Alex Gillen's medium tyres start to degrade, and he does have to make another stop in this race, Concept 7 sitting very, very pretty in P2.
Yeah, he's looking good. Obviously, Alex Gillen, we know, will probably have to make another pit stop in that race, and we're in this race, and we are on lap 38 of 71, or to put it another way, we're on lap 68 of 71. 58. Sorry, I can't do maths. All right.
Well, we just got to look at this though, because this is Razin charging up to the back of GB. First attempt in a couple of laps. He just had a foothold down into turn number 1, but GB had the ascendancy, was able to hang it around the outside and repel that assault from Razin Chai. Razin, who at one stage was looking vulnerable to the Season 1 champion of Safso behind, finally turning on the afterburners and chasing after GB. Tim Amadi down the inside of his former teammate as well, into turn number 4, outside for turn number 5. Can he hang it around the outside of 6 as well? Safso playing ball, getting out of that one. Ben, opportunistic as ever, up into position number 5 now. And with that little bit of respite, we've got a big DRS train here, battling very, very hard. We are going to hand over to your lovely presenter, Jess Ball, for your mid-race recap, Jess.
Thank you very much, and I have to say, fair play to the commentators throughout this race for having to commentate pretty much almost a 125% race. There's still quite a lot of action going on, but let's give you a recap just in case for those of you that missed out on this main race action. Alex Gillen, your race leader, started in 8th place, and he's got a 6.6 second lead. He started on the hards, he's on these mediums, he will be expected to pit again, but will he be able to climb his way through into a decent position to potentially win this race? His pace in Mexico is on fire. He could still potentially win the championship, because his main championship rival, Meraki, is not having a good race at all. Currently sitting down in P13. He's currently been overtaken by Scott Taylor, actually. He's going to lose quite a few positions. So Meraki going to lose out on quite big points at the moment unless he gets his act together. So Alex going to really climb that gap between himself and Meraki in the championship. Of course, Concept, biggest star so far in the race, keeping that gap very comfortable between himself and GB. He knows that Alex is not his race at the moment. He knows he can stretch those hards a little bit longer, considering that they only wear 1.2% per lap, according to what we saw with Alex Gillen's car. GB68, out of the rest of the championship contenders, doing quite decently in 3rd place. He's been on those tyres more than anyone. It's going to be a bit of a gamble to see if he can get towards the end of this race on these tyres. He also started in 10th place, a few places behind Alex Gillen, so his race very decent indeed. Remember what happened to Razin Chai earlier? He had a different safety car delta compared to Concept 7. They both made contact and caused a little bit of contact there, but it was literally just a glitch of the game where someone had a different delta and someone else had a different delta with the VSC. Hopefully no more troubles there. Team at Marduk lost one place on this race, started on the mediums as well. Pretty much most of the top 10 started on the mediums. He's been on those hard. Expect him to get to the end, as well as Safso, who's currently in 6th. Not the best race from Safso so far, but you're seeing already a swarm of positions being made from the midfield as well. Same with that guy Vince in 7th. We are having a much better race than what we saw earlier on in the first dummy race that we saw. Lolly Nova could have done better. Carl, despite his front wing damage earlier on and his end plate damage, he's in 9th place. He's looking to gain a few more positions, and we're seeing one of the Alpines getting quite a few positions as well. Emphatic having a much better race. He's down in 10th. There's so much action still to be told. It's side-by-side action. I'll pass you back to our commentators.
Thank you very much, Jess. And it's looking like a very exciting race. And that was a brilliant recap from our presenter there. Lord Gillen still leads by 7.6 seconds, with Team at Marduk closing in on GB now, as he's made his way past Mr. Razin Shai. As Carl is also getting past Lolly Noba here. These two having a properly good scrap this afternoon, going into the stadium section. Down the inside goes Carl, wheel to wheel through the stadium section. We saw this earlier on, and it almost safety car. They're still going wheel to wheel in the final sector. Properly good wheel to wheel battling here between the two drivers, and they still go wheel to wheel. They're not giving up, but has that Ferrari engine got more speed than that Mercedes engine does? And it certainly does, as Carl jumps in to 8th position. But here comes Infratic, who's making moves in this Grand Prix, and he moves up into P9, or does he? Because the inside line still goes to Lolly Noba, and they still go wheel to wheel, as it's looking like a very good afternoon for Lolly Noba and Infratic, who's now under pressure from Adam Sanderson in the Red Bull. Obviously, those lights flashing on the back of their car, they're not recharging their battery, they're just fully not using it this afternoon. We're on lap 41 of 71, or no, I was going to say another number, but I'm not going to bury my maths. So Adam Sanderson getting past Infratic there, back up into the top 10. So the charge of Infratic comes to an end. The gap between Mr. Gillen and Concept at the front is now 8.1 seconds. And that gap is growing larger and larger. Mr. Gillen will know he has to make another pit stop, so he wants to make that gap as large as he can without burning out his medium tyres. But Concept still running a good race, 4.4 seconds ahead of GB, and Team at Marduk just in behind, still trying to find a way past the Kick Sauber, who is on very worn tyres there. It is still looking like a very good afternoon for a lot of drivers, and we've got someone in the pits there. It's Infratic, who pulls into the pits to go for another set, I imagine, of the hard tyre as he pulls in. And is it going to be hard going on the car? It is going to be hard, and that will be Infratic until the end of the Grand Prix. So they'll need to properly last him, well, another 30 laps or so, as GB now under serious pressure from Team Marduk in the Alpine. These two have had brilliant battles in the past. Will they carry on to have a brilliant one here this afternoon? Properly wheel to wheel, the Sauber and the Alpine, and there's nothing separating the two drivers, and down the inside does make Team Marduk's move stick. He's up into 3rd place. GB's brave defence of the last podium position comes to an end. The Kick Sauber now making his way through, and it's properly caused a little bit of a problem for, Ben, because given Concept another second or so in their battle for 2nd place. And we see some cars pulling out of dirty air there. Tukey with another 3-second time penalty to add to his misery at the back of the grid, currently 17th place. And Safso picks up a 3-second time penalty, and that is a big penalty in the battle for the top half points. A yellow flag in the 3rd sector here. It's gone green. I'm not sure who exactly that was, but yeah, it's looking good on lap 43 here of the Mexican Grand Prix.
Yeah, Tukey there, I think, having a bit of a whoopsie in the final set. The battles are plenty continuing on. Team at Marduk, very good move up the inside of GB. He did barge his way past Razin Shai a little bit, a couple of laps ago. And Scott Taylor pushing Lolly Noba down a further spot. Got Scott Taylor with a penalty looming over his head. And the other Red Bull now going to try and make a move on the Williams as well. Can they do a bit of speedway teaming here? Well, Adam Sanderson not quite close enough to really make any real impression. Carl very close to the back, hot on the heels of Dak Vince as well in the battle for 7th and 8th places. Vince with a penalty. Carl penalty-less at this stage with 28 laps to go. He'll be thinking there's a very good opportunity to pass that Aston Martin in the not too distant future. Remember that Aston is not very quick in a straight line.
No, it certainly isn't. And I mean, the Kick Sauber isn't exactly the fastest thing in a straight line either, but it certainly has been doing a good job this afternoon. And I'm actually really impressed with the Kick Sauber's pace, to be honest with you. Obviously, we saw the likes of, in real life, Nico Hulkenberg getting a good podium in Silverstone, of course, his first of his career. So we're looking here on the front wing of Safso, getting very close to the back of Razin Shai, who's had a good recovery there, back up in what is 5th place. But his teammate still leading, but now by 7.9 seconds. And are we starting to see a little drop on those medium tyres?
I think so. Concept a couple of tenths quicker than Alex Gillen on the previous lap. Safso still trying to apply the blow torque. The Razin Shai in front, not being put down by that penalty he received on the previous lap. Carl still looking in, following very close to the back of the Aston Martin of Vince. GB was close to the back of Ben as well, diving down the inside of turn 1. Goes commentator clip, but Carl Peranic, and finally disposes of the Aston Martin of that guy Vince. The green machine pushed behind the lime green machine. Carl up into P7. Just got to make sure he completes the job though on the run down into turn 4. Look at Scott Taylor thinking about a move as well down the inside. Wasn't really close enough to make that one stick. And Carl does have 7th place on his hands. That will, of course, be 6th, inheriting the 6th place from Safso with the penalty. Car off the road. That's a Mercedes battling away with Ricciardo 3, who shoved off the circuit. The two Mercedes both trying to double team the Scarlet Ferrari car. Scotty Designs is through. Chapper's trying to follow in the footsteps of his teammate as well. Ricciardo 3, it's a 2v1 situation. Can Chapper's hanging around the outside of 7? You'll be brave to do that. You're a brave man indeed to do that. There's the tyre locking. They managed to avoid the wall. They don't avoid the red faces though, as they both take a trip into the grass and lose 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, that was unfortunate between those two cars, but luckily both of them are still running in this Mexican Grand Prix. That could have ended both their afternoons. We're on lap 45 of 71 here. The gap at the front, 7.9 seconds. It's kind of evened out the pace between those two cars now, as we start to see the effect of the medium tyres start to drop off here in this Grand Prix. Don't forget also that Carl in 7th place. He is having a fantastic Grand Prix, but he has got to make at least one more stop in this race due to him going hard. He needs to at least use one other set of tyres, and that will be probably the medium set, but he will need to make up a lot of places in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, Carl will definitely be doing a safety car dance here, hoping it comes very, very soon so he can bolt on either a set of medium tyres or maybe softs if it comes right at the end of this race. But at the moment, his fixation is very much on the Scarlet Ferrari of Safso sat in front of him. Timo Malik faster by 0.3 of a second over Gillen and Concept on the previous lap. Gillen was 1 millisecond faster than Concept in that battle for first and second. Remember, Gillen, you would think he's going to have to make another stop, 50 almost laps on a set of medium tyres. Feels ambitious, as does this move down the inside of turn 6, but Ricky has got the job done there. A little bit of bumping and grinding, but he won't care one jot about it because he does push Chappers down into P16. Tukey arriving on the scene as well as these two continue to knock 10 bells out of each other.
It's brilliant racing. Down in a position where you're barely getting a point, barely getting a scrap, but we're showing it here on the Creator Series broadcast, and it's been a fantastic race so far. You know, it's been, what you might say, one of the longest races in Creator Series history, even though it feels like we've only done 46 laps. As Razin Shai is in the pits. Now that's interesting there, because he is on a set of hard tyres, and he's going for another set of mediums, or is he going for another set of hards?
Well, he started on the medium tyres, so surely it'll be hard tyres. Again, he'd already done 30 laps on that set of tyres. Another 25 would have been hard-pressed to get to the end of the race on that strategy. So Razin blinks early, pulls the trigger earlier than his rivals around. And will that force a lot of other drivers to follow him down pit road, try and blink as well, and get himself in the same race as the Haas car? Here comes Fabio, who had a bit of an undercut on this group of cars. Worked out very, very nicely because he's now right tucked up underneath the rear wing of the driver that was holding P5 in this race.
I think the hope for Alex Gillen there is Concept may start to blink, but of course he is also on a brand new set of hard, well, not brand new set, he's on a hard tyre, so he won't need to pit again. He can make it to the end, but wonder maybe putting a little bit doubt in his mind of that catch up. But he's in a very good position. Oh no. Well, we've just heard from Mr. Gareth Allen. We're on board right now with Scott Taylor, and we've got bad news, ladies and gentlemen, that Scott Taylor has been caught using ERS. He was not in AI mode, which means he is disqualified from the Grand Prix.
Meanwhile, Safso in, so reacting to the punch pulled by Razin on the previous lap. By the way, Tim Marduk has taken 0.8 of a second out of Concept in the past 2 laps. Here comes the Red Bull of Scott Taylor. He has been using ERS again. I think there you can see the ERS dropping on the steering wheel, so definitely deploying it. Carl will be fuming about that because that's an overtake that's been made that shouldn't really have been allowed. And once again, in the words of Tom Biener, the Creator Series legend, that is illegal, my friend. We return our attention, though, to Safso and Vince, who both came into the pits. I think Razin and Fabio are going to be clear of the Ferrari and the Aston Martin car. Yes, Spartano pits almost into the path of the Alpine car, but Razin now with a car between himself and the Ferrari, and Vince just trailing a further second back. Tim Malik has taken a second out of Alex Gillen on the past 2 laps as well. Gillen's medium tyre starting to struggle, and Tim Malik coming on very, very nicely here.
Well, it's going to be a very interesting end of this Grand Prix, I feel. Lord Gillen, can you see the gap between himself and Concept? Concept has picked up the pace here, 7.2 seconds to the Haas car. And I wonder if those medium tyres are starting to struggle now, or has Concept decided...
Gillen's in.
He's picking up the pace, and Gillen is in the pits here. So this is it. This is the proper charge for the Grand Prix lead now, as Concept F1 will retake the lead of the Mexican Grand Prix. Where Alex Gillen will filter out will be interesting here. Hard tyres go on the Haas car, and this is it, the battle towards the end of the Grand Prix as the sun shines over the Haas pit box. And will he come out in front of Scotty Designs, by the way?
Well, the hunted now becomes the huntee. Gillen's going to come out of the pits in around about 11th place, maybe. It'll depend where Scotty is. I think he's just going to pull past it. We'll be side by side on the rundown into turn number 1. Gillen's going to have to be brave under brakes here to try and hold on to 10th place at the expense of the Mercedes, who is having absolutely none of it. Round the outside, turns to the inside of 2. But Gillen, wise old fox that he is, holds firm in that one. Sensible racing from the reigning champion. And he now knows what his target is. He was really losing pace. 6/10 to Concept in the middle sector. 7/10 to Tim Marduk in the middle sector. Had to pull the trigger then to get those new tyres on.
We love that from Scotty Designs. Doesn't care who's come out of the pits on fresh tyres. He's going to have a go at them. And that's what we love to see. But yeah, Concept F1 leading by 4.4 seconds at the front of the grid. GB in third. And Mr. Scott Taylor, the one they call the cheater in the F1 community, is up into 4th place, but using ERS. His result will not count, which means my bet for who's going to win this Grand Prix has fallen through.
Yeah, you wonder if that's just accidentally. He switched out of none into medium, potentially could be easily done. He's now got Carl examining the rear geometry of that Red Bull very, very sternly. Being a bit of a Sauber sandwich at the moment. Could be a bit of a kick in the teeth, though, if Carl manages to pull through. Tim Marduk on the previous lap, 0.5 quicker than Concept 7. Needs to find a little bit more pace, but charging away from the Saubers. Scott Taylor flies past GB68 with the aid of a little bit of battery, it has to be said. We're hearing that he's saying that he wants to actively try and win, so that's why he's using the ERS. Interesting tactic there from Scott Taylor. He's going to be the joker in the pack, let's say, as he charges after our Australian ace in 2nd position. And now the 2 Saubers can do battle over 4th and 5th. Lord Gillen has joined the little DRS train that is holding Kareem 70, Adam Sanderson and Meraki. It'll be fascinating to see how quickly Alex Gillen can pick them off.
Yeah, it will certainly be interesting to see. So if you keep an eye on Scott Taylor, do not worry about where he finishes because it won't matter at the end of this Grand Prix, but he's certainly flying in his Red Bull there, using that ERS actively. You can see the difference, though, between a car using ERS and a car not using ERS, which is always quite interesting to see, I think. But Carl, I've got to say, what a race he is having. The one-time Creator Series winner is currently in 5th place and actively chasing down GB, who's in 4th.
But A, on 14-lap fresher tyres, B, has to pit again as well. And you wonder if he's missed a trip by not going with the likes of Razin, with the likes of Safso Fabio and Datkovitz to keep himself in the same game as those cars. Does he have the pace? Does he have the straight line speed to charge after them later on in the Grand Prix? He's definitely going to be holding out for a hero. That hero is going to be the safety car, of course, as Meraki is the next to make his way into the pit lane. Not been a great round for the championship leader. First time this season that Meraki has really struggled in that RB car that he's driving today. Safso, fastest lap of the Grand Prix. He's going to be looking to pull a move on Razin Chai down to turn number 1. That is not GB68. He was looking very puzzled there, Meraki, though, at what was going on. Maybe it took him a while to get out of that pit box. But he continues on his way. Once again, Tim Marduk about 1/10 quicker than Concept 7 on the previous lap. The gap is coming down slowly and slowly. If Ben can just play this long here, he could be getting very, very close come the end of the race.
Yeah, it is looking very close indeed. I just want to point out that was GB68. That's his Halloween costume. just to point that out. That's why they look so similar. It's not Meraki. It's not a mistake from our production crew. He certainly is.
They've swapped bodies.
Yeah, what a great film that is. There's a sequel coming out soon. No one else is going to get that reference. But anyway, let's have Carl get close to GB as Ricky gets a time penalty of 3 seconds as he's closing in on the back of his compatriot GB. Now, I wonder if Carl is going to get past him here and surely try and make a little bit more of a gap to get himself into a position where he can pit onto a set of medium tyres and go to the end of this Grand Prix. As Infratic picks up 3-second time penalty and Adam Sanderson pulls himself into the pits. And here comes Carl past GB and he makes himself into the top 4. But as mentioned before, ladies and gentlemen, Carl is not done with his pit stops. He has to make at least one more.
20 laps to go in this Mexican Grand Prix. Gap out in front, 4.6 seconds. Concept was actually a 10th quicker than Ben on the last lap. Scott Taylor, with the battery that he's using, was 6 tenths quicker than the pair of them. So, like I said, the Scotsman is going to play Joker in the remaining 20 laps of this Grand Prix. And this will be a big spanner in the works, but could work in Tim Marduk's favour, you could say, because if he can get dragged along by that Red Bull, that will bring him up towards that McLaren much quicker than if he's just using his own pace. Ben and Scott in a little bit of no man's land, 3.5 seconds back to the 2 Saubers, Lodinova, and then Kareem, who has Alex Gillen on a fresh set of rubber, chasing down the leaders to deal with.
Yeah, that will be the gap we are paying attention to. He's got to get past Kareem, and then he's got to find his way through another very aggressive set of drivers. But of course, Carl, with that pit stop still in his hand, that's already a position that Gillen can make without needing to worry about one to overtake. As Scott Taylor within DRS range of Tim Marduk there, that gap closing down quite quickly on the main straight. That's surprising, you know.
Going to absolutely blast past. This is going to be like a rocket ship taking off. Ben's
DRS.
not going to know what's going to hit him here. Flying past goes Scott Taylor. Didn't even open the DRS, you're correct in saying, but he didn't really want to take that position. Alex Gillen not doing that as he blasts past Kareem 17 to pick up another position, up to P7 now, the reigning champion, and is currently just 12 seconds off the leader with 19 laps to go.
Yeah, he's certainly looking like a good opportunity for Mr. Gillen to win this Grand Prix. We're on lap 52 of 71. Actually, technically, we're on lap 72 of... How many is it?
91. 72 of 91, because it was lap 20, wasn't it? Alex Gillen,
Yes.
Team Radio, thought we would have had more pace than this. Interesting one. If we compare the lap times, he was 1.7 seconds quicker than the leading duo on the previous lap. 22 flat for Concept and Ben compared to a 20.3 for Alex Gillen. So he's clearly got the wheels at the moment, and at this rate, he will catch them. It's just whether those hard tyres can give him enough impetus come the end of the race to get past them. Catching is one thing, and we have seen in this race, overtaking not as easy as it normally is without that battery.
Yeah, I mean, we're proving here this afternoon that it's very difficult to find an overtake without the use of ERS. But let's be honest, can we just point out the fact that Scott Taylor has got ERS and he's not made a move in a few laps?
I think he's just sitting in behind. He's now opened the DRS, so that could be, throw that out.
There we go.
He is going to overtake the Alpine of Tim Marduk. Ben will not be particularly pleased about that for the time being, you would think, because he's going to get a whole face full of dirty air through this first sector. Yellow flag is out down the main straight. Not sure who that's for. Might have been Tukey losing some places for Williams. Potentially Fabio actually has dropped about 5 seconds, so bit of a whoopsie potentially for the Alpine, compounding what has been a difficult race so far. Battles into turn number 1. This is Razin Chai trying to pull a move on Riccio 3 outside of turn 2, and he gets the job done for the time being. The Ferrari quick in a straight line. Let's not forget he's going to have it out again on the run down into turn number 4. Has he got the straight line speed to deal with it? The other Ferrari of Safso nipping at the heels of Tukey as well, trying to send it around the outside of 4. Razin up to 12th. Ricky holding 13th. Inside for Safso, and he is going to pull past the Williams as well.
This is the battle with people that have time penalties, but it's certainly a good battle and a half between the two Ferraris, and of course Razin Shai leading this train in 11th place. Now keep an eye on those front two. Obviously Scott Taylor will be DSQ'd, so Ben is still in a good position here, and Concept F1 leading it. Carl is in a podium position, pointed out by our producer, but he still has to pit, and he really will need that safety car in the next few laps.
Alex Gillen's really, really quick here now, just 10.5 seconds off the lead. Going to dispose of GB68, who is still trying to eke this strategy. He's done 42 laps on these hard tyres. We need to do about 15 more to get them to the end. Almost 60 laps those tyres are going to have to withstand to get him to the end of this Grand Prix. I think GB's pace is really going to fall off the cliff come the end of this 71-lap Grand Prix. Razin and Safso still battling their way through the traffic. The two Ferrari cars swap places. Vince sending it down the inside of Tukey as well into turn number 1. Clatters the sausage curve at the inside of 1, outside of 2, inside of turn number 3. The switchback is complete, and Datka Vince in his beautiful green Aston Martin car does push Tukey down a spot.
Yeah, it is brilliant racing at all points in this Grand Prix. Scott Taylor, by the way, do you think he's pulling along Thierry McMurdoch?
Yes. Absolutely. Ben was 4/10 quicker in the first sector, so he has taken a decent chunk out of Concept 7's lead. This is going to be fascinating. The question is whether Ben can actually keep up through the dirty air, and with the tyre advantage that Scott Taylor's got. I say that, but they're on the same age tyres, so ignore that. It's just pure pace between the Red Bull and the Alpine car. A little bit slower in the middle set for Scott Taylor, understandably, but now he's going to burn a load of ERS again. Better be hoping he can get dragged once again towards the McLaren just that little bit closer.
And this use of ERS here by Scott Taylor to allow him to pull Thierry McMurdoch closer to the race leader and maybe pull him away from Lord Gillen, who is catching at a rate of knots. We're also hearing in our comms chat that Scott Taylor's viewership has tripled in the last few minutes. And he is now out of DRS, is Thierry McMurdoch. But he obviously got it because it was in this during the old detection phase. But Mr. Gillen is within 4 seconds now of Thierry McMurdoch.
Yeah, 4 seconds between Concept and Thierry McMurdoch, 4 seconds between Thierry McMurdoch and Alex Gillen. Again, he's going to have to prepare himself because he is going to have to get embroiled with his old sparring partner, Thierry McMurdoch, once again. Prepare for the fireworks. Once more, everybody, get those curtains open, battling for what will be second place on the road. But Alex Gillen, you would say, very much the odds-on favourite to win this race. If you haven't been watching the last few laps, Scott Taylor, yes, he is transformed into Max Verstappen. That is because he is using ERS, which is banned for this race. That is the wild card. He will be disqualified come Grand Prix end. So even if he passes Concept and takes the victory, he will not be the winner. It will not go down in the record books as a Scott Taylor win.
No, as much as I'm sure I'd like that due to my bet, it will not count as a victory for Scott Taylor or myself if he does win this Grand Prix. But is he going to help someone else win this Grand Prix here? As I'm sure when we wrote this wildcard, we didn't consider this as an option.
Absolutely. Here we go. Carl, still close to the back of Alex Gillen, hoping that he can get dragged along by the Haas for the foreseeable future. But remember, Carl, like he said, like we've both been saying, has to make another stop in this race. The two stoppers also continuing to move their way through the traffic. Razin Chai up inside the top 10 for the first time since he made his stop about 10 laps ago. Disposes of Chappers on the run down into turn number 1. And Infratic making up for the boo-boo that he made earlier on, up into P15 now for the Alpine.
Yeah, it is definitely coming down to the last few laps here of this Grand Prix. It's going to be interesting to see who comes away with a big victory. GB definitely dropping his pace off now on those hard tyres. Safso making another move up ahead of Chappers there into P11. And for the race lead, Concept still leads ahead of Scott Taylor by about 1.8 seconds. And Lord Gillen, 2.8 behind Thierry McMurdoch. That gap isn't coming down as quick as I expected it to.
Has come down by a decent chunk though. Gillen was half a second quicker in the middle sector, 0.3 quicker in the first sector, so 1.1 seconds on this lap alone. Not 1.1 seconds, 0.8 of a second on this lap alone. So he is taking chunks of time out of Ben. 15 laps to go at the Mexico Grand Prix. Concept 7, your pole sitter, your race leader for the Papaya McLaren squadron, but he has two former champions, two-time champions bearing down his neck. Thierry McMurdoch and Alex Gillen both chasing after him come the end of the 71-lap race. Carl in P5 on the road still needs to make a stop, but he's put 4.5 seconds between himself and his teammate GB, who is on 45-lap-old hard tyres, trying to stretch them to the end of the Grand Prix. Razin Chai coming on nicely come the end of this race as well, up into 9th place for the Season 5 champion, disposing of Scotty Design. Safso following the Haas through as he has been in the past few laps, and surely will be getting past that Mercedes in quick time as well.
Scott Taylor has almost reached the Grand Prix lead here, folks. He is right behind Concept F1 as Lord Gillen 1.7 seconds behind Thierry McMurdoch, who is in 3rd place. The two stoppers are definitely working well. Is there a case here, GB, with those 50-lap-old or more than that, old hard tyres. Is there a case where he just backs up the pack and lets Carl try and get a cleaner pit stop? Or is he going to be under real trouble in the next few laps?
Well, they're not teammates. That's what we need to remember. They're not
That's
actually
true.
teammates, because obviously running realistic cars for this season, the cars will change, the drivers will change throughout the season. Carl also a reserve, not in the championship fight, you would say, but GB, considering he's only turned up twice so far this season, only scored points once, not really in the title fight either. Scott Taylor does take the lead of the Grand Prix for the first time. Not the first time, actually, because he qualified in second place, took the lead on the opening lap of race number 1, then dropped back as his soft tyres died. So the drivers that qualified first and second now getting reacquainted at the sharp end of the field. Timo Malik has taken half a second out of Concept on the previous lap. 3.7 seconds now, the gap, but for Ben Daly, he's got Alex Gillen bearing down on him.
Look how happy Scott Taylor was to take the lead of that Grand Prix. I've never seen him smile so much. And he was still as well, which I think was more impressive personally. But yeah, Concept F1 is in second place technically, but he is still leading this Grand Prix due to Scott Taylor being disqualified when the race ends. But the real battle is happening behind, with Lord Gillen now less than a second behind Tiernan Marduk.
Actually, very, very quickly. Previous lap taking 1.1 seconds out of Tiernan Marduk, and our two-time Creator Series champions are going to do battle once more. Although with the difference in tyre age, Gillen on 22-lap fresher hard compound tyres, this should be fairly regulation, you would imagine, especially considering that Alpine not the speediest in a straight line. Tiernan Marduk, will he put up a fight, or will he just let Gillen run off into the distance? We will see as we round the final corner to start 59. Tiernan Marduk to the middle of the circuit, but there's not a lot that he can do. Tiernan Marduk moving back over to the left-hand side. He is going to put the big squeeze on Alex Gillen over to the grass, but Gillen forces his way through. Bit of a Code Brown moment, but Alex Gillen does get past Tiernan Marduk. A bit of gamesmanship going on there between the two long-time rivals, and Gillen up into third place.
That was like Schumacher and Barrichello back in Hungary many years ago. But yeah, that was beautiful racing between the two rivals. They never fail to put on a show, do they, when they end up racing against each other? But now the road is clear. The pace is needed, 4 seconds, but it's coming down rapidly. Scott Taylor will need to work his magic to keep Concept in the DRS, and he will want that. He needs Scott Taylor there to somehow give him a chance of winning this Grand Prix.
He's got a police escort out in front, hasn't he, Concept?
He certainly
needs to
does.
try and keep him in check, as Alex Gillen taking chunks of time out of them every single lap. GB under pressure once more. Lodin Oberon, Razin Chai. Remember, Razin made that stop about 15 laps ago. Could still finish inside the top 5, although there's 7.5 seconds between Carl and GB. Razin Chai's target will very much be Tiernan Marduk in this race, with Carl having to make an extra stop and GB very, very slow at this stage on his very much ailing hard compound tyres. Is there DRS for Concept? Yes, there is, but with the battery that Scott Taylor is burning, that is going to give him an advantage, and the DRS is absolutely meaningless.
Yep, completely meaningless there with no DRS, but no ERS versus some ERS. And GB is under increasing pressure, but look at the gap he's formed between himself and Carl. They are not teammates, as we mentioned, but they are certainly doing a teammate work here. But it could be game over for him, as both Razin and Lodin Oberon make it into 7th and 6th place respectively, but GB has not given it up, and they properly come together there. There's sparks flying all over the circuit, and maybe a bit of front wing, but GB finally relegated to 8th place.
100%. Safso going to be cruising up to the back of the Sauber as well, and GB's chances of a first Creator Series championship, if they weren't already over by scoring points once in the first 4 rounds, only attended 2 of them, let's say, as well, and one of them was in a driver share with Tiernan Marduk. So does that really count? This is probably the championship falling by the wayside, with Alex Gillen scoring big, Tiernan Marduk scoring big, Razin Chai scoring decent points as well, a net P4 for Razin Chai. Scott Taylor will be thrown out of it. Carl still has to make another stop, let's not forget as well. Lap 60 of the Mexican Grand Prix. The charge is on for Alex Gillen. 2.5 seconds now, the gap between himself and Concept. Tiernan Marduk firmly left in the wake of his old sparring partner.
Yeah, he certainly has pulled away quite magnificently. And Concept F1 is not challenging Scott Taylor anymore, but he will be disqualified from this Grand Prix. So the battle for the lead is between Concept F1 and Mr. Gillen. 10 laps to go, ladies and gentlemen. And it is all to play for. 2.1 seconds, but that gap is rapidly closing. As Safso right behind GB, and GB surely not going to put up much of a fight here. But I've said that before, and I have been wrong. But on this occasion, I am correct. Safso into top 8.
bread and butter for Saf. So they're down into turn number 1. Does have a 3-second penalty though, so needs to put the afterburners on a little bit to put some distance between himself, GB, and the group behind. Kareem 70 struggling a little bit. He has only stopped once in this race. That is why the pace of the Aston Martin driver isn't quite there at this stage of the Grand Prix. With 10 laps to go, 1.6 seconds between Concept and Alex Gillen. As we saw with Tim at Marduk, it should be fairly easy for Gillen to take the lead of the race, you would imagine. I also expect Concept won't quite play the same games that Ben did, with a big old squeeze over to the grass on the run down into turn number 1. What lap do you pit if you're Carl as well? Has to make one more stop. Started on the hard compound tyres, did 25 laps, done 35 laps on this second set of hard compound tyres. You would imagine it will be the softs that he bolts on when he does make his way into the pits. We picked up Carl in the final sector. Is it perfect timing? No, it is not. He continues on for at least one more lap. And for everybody that doesn't like intentional safety cars, they are gone. We are less than 10 laps to go. No more intentional safety cars allowed, as Alex Gillen is almost within 1 second.
And do you think when he gets that 1 second, you've got to think it could be game, set and match for Concept F1. That DRS and that new tyre wear for Lord Gillen will surely be enough to give him his Grand Prix victory. As we see another move in the mid-pack here, as we're watching Scotty Designs, by the way, chasing down Kareem 70, who is currently sitting in the top 10. The two Mercedes cars have been working together for a while to actually close in on the top 10 here. Not teammates once again, but just working beautifully as if they were. 0.6 of a second between Concept and Alex Gillen, and surely this could be the end of the dream for Concept F1.
You would think so. This should be the lap that Alex Gillen gets back up into the net race lead here in Mexico City. Through the stadium section we go, with 9 laps remaining in Mexico. The Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. We've had quite the race, has to be said. Some really intense battles going on, flip-flopping for positions and some different strategies as well. Even a lobby restart, which means we're doing 91 of the allotted 71 laps. And if you're confused by that math, go back to the start of the stream. DRS flap is open for Alex Gillen. Carl into the pits, but this is the move for the race lead. Ignore Scott Taylor out in front. The Haas is going to pull easily past the McLaren car. And your reigning champion, once again, is up into the lead of this race and will be charging on towards the top of the championship standings with Meraki down in P16.
It's been a horrible race for Meraki there, down in 16th place, as Mr. Gillen takes what is second place on the road. But let's be honest, it is P1, and it will be a Grand Prix victory at the moment, because those tyres, I think, for Concept F1 have finally kicked the bucket, and it will be probably game, set and match. Even though the McLaren is a faster car, their tyre wear has certainly been struggling, and that is definitely Mr. Gillen with a Grand Prix victory.
Need to watch for Razin Chai, by the way. He's about a second a lap quicker than Tim at Marduk. That would put him right on the gearbox of that Alpine come lap number 70 and 71. So the battle for the final spot on the podium very much still on. Razin Chai, second in the championship coming into this race, 20 points off the back of Meraki. He won't take the lead of the championship if he finishes in third position, but there's very much an opportunity for him to take a big step towards becoming the third double champion of the Creator Series. One problem with that though, Tim at Marduk, 2-time champion, just ahead of him. If he can pass him, that'll make his life a whole lot easier. But Alex Gillen looking to go back to back in the Creator Series, as he did at the start of his championship win in season 10. Won round 1, round 2 and round 3, and that set him up very, very nicely. This could be back to back for Gillen with 7 to go.
It would be a very good result for Razin Chai as well, because if he can get to Tim Marduk, that would be 2 Haas cars on the podium here in Mexico City. So it would look very nice indeed if Razin can get himself past Tim Marduk. If you're confused why I'm saying that, I know 4th place isn't a podium, but Scott Taylor will be disqualified at the end of the Grand Prix.
Oh, lock in the rears goes Dak Gavins into turn number 1. Almost gets collected by the Mercedes of Chappers. 3, 4, maybe even 5 places leaked by the Green Machine. And that is not good news for Dak Gavins in his pursuit of a potential Creator Series championship as well. Still trying to make mincemeat of the Mercedes in front, trying to make up for lost time. He does send it late under brakes. Carl trying to make his way through, pick his way through the traffic as well on his fresh medium tyres. Upper position goes Carl to 15th. Still having it out for 12th and 13th. Chappers and Dak Gavins. Vince on the outside is going to get run out of road. And it's daylight robbery in Mexico City, because there is the championship leader still fighting. Picks off one car, picks off another as well around the outside of 7th. That is textbook from Meraki, season 4 champion, showing his true colours. That is absolutely beautiful.
That's why he is a champion, and that is why he's chasing another championship title. Of course, he's been unlucky in this Grand Prix, but he's certainly recovered well here to get himself into the top 12. And there goes Carl, who is also on a bit of a recovery drive since his second pit stop, but he's certainly flying on these new medium tyres.
100%. Here we go. This should be very, very easy for Carl. Very, very easy for Emphatic as well. Been in the wars, but it's going to move inside the top 10. Goes the Alpine. Surely not really making any real gains. You can see Kareem 17 on the inside, not giving slipstream to either of these cars. Emphatic's going to have to do it under brakes and does. Scotty bails out of that one into turn number 1. And Fabio into 10th position for the time being. Should get past Kareem because that Aston Martin is grappling for grip. But the trade-off is that penalty is going to drop Fabio down a couple of spots. And with Carl chasing them as well, that is going to be quite the fight in the closing laps.
And I wonder where Carl can really get up to here with his pace on his hand. Is there a chance he may even catch GB, who was in the other Kick Sauber? I think he could finish at least P8 in this Grand Prix.
Here comes Carl again, down towards turn number 7. Scotty throws the defensive shape. He was clearly nervous there, thought that Carl might go for the move down into turn number 7. Can go well, can go slightly wrong if you were watching in real life last year. Didn't go brilliantly for Max Verstappen when he tried that. Almost switched back through the high-speed S's of the middle set to Scotty, defending for his life. Carl, though, muscles his way to the inside. Is he braver? Under brakes into turn number 12. Be careful of the curb on the inside. Scotty hangs it out, but falls off the circuit. And now the outside into the stadium section. Job done for Carl Peranic. That is 11th place now for the Kick Sauber. Charging through the pack late in this race. Could still finish in P8, you would imagine, with GB fading fast. This is another move. Emphatic wide out of the Piratella. Carl with the fastest lap of the race. That's an extra point for Clifford Carl, and he surely is going to fly past the Alpine that's slow in a straight line, and the Aston Martin that's slow in a straight line as well. Doesn't need the slipstream because look at the overspeed he's got. Kareem has to go defensive, sensing the threat. Fabio still very much in this ballpark. Around the outside goes Carl Peranic, getting my P's and K's all mixed up, but it doesn't matter because Carl is through.
With a beautiful set of moves from Carl, and he will find himself in the top 8. He may even get himself close to Lolly Noba, but laps are running out for him, so he'll need some serious pace when he passes GB68, which you can imagine he'll do in a lap or so's time. But for our race lead, Mr. Gillen is still leading comfortably by almost 4 seconds now. Razin still closing onto the back of Tiernan Marduk, but 3 seconds the gap, and he's running out of time to make that move stick. But look at the pace difference Carl has here. Physically and emotionally, it's going to be hurtful for GB, but Carl into the top 8 and will carry on his charge for maybe a 7th place finish if he can find some serious pace in the next few laps.
He is absolutely rapid. About 2 seconds a lap faster than Lolly Noba in front, who is getting acquainted with Safso as well. Penalty for Safso will drop him behind the Williams car. Emphatic now pushes Kareem 17 down a further spot. Carl once again with the fastest lap of the race. Here we go. We picked them up battling between each other. Emphatic versus Kareem 17. Penalty for the Alpine. No penalty or DRS for the Aston Martin. Scotty Design's going to be putting his nose in a place is not very welcome as well. Darting to the outside goes the RB car. No, it's the Mercedes, in fact, of Scotty Design. Very late on the braces. Kareem 17 takes Fabio off the circuit with him. Through goes Scotty Designs. Through goes Meraki as well, just about down the inside of turn number 3. Kareem off the circuit again and getting reacquainted with Fabio once again. A couple of tete-a-tetes they've had so far this evening. The Aston Martin and the Alpine are now darting, switching this way and that. Fabio incredibly late on the brakes, almost takes Meraki this time off into the pickets, but it's Fabio that comes off worse there, dropping down to P17. I think a little bit of frustration there.
Yeah, goodness me, quite a lock-up indeed from Fabio there. Falls himself down to 17th place. Yeah, I'm gonna blame that one on frustration more than any mistake into that corner. Just to point out, yeah, just as our man in the clip corner, Josh pointed out, Carl is actually already in 7th place due to Scott Taylor's disqualification, which means if he gets Lolly Noba, that could be his 6th place finish. And with Safso's time penalty and how close they are, could be a 5th place finish here.
Well. He won't keep up that 100% winning record in the Creator Series, but doing a sterling job. Absolutely flying at this stage. 2.5 seconds quicker than the drivers in front of him, taking leaps and bounds out of them in the closing stages of this race. Here comes Meraki to try and get up inside the top 10 for the championship leader. Scotty Designs are going to be very defenseless there, and down the inside, doesn't even need the braking zone, does he, Meraki? And that is easy as you like. Oh no! Oh dear! No. We've had it again. With 5 laps to go, we have lost the lights. Somebody's turned the lights off again. We've had a lobby disconnect. We need somebody call an electrician or a mechanic or an engineer to fix what's going on. We got to lap 66 and we couldn't quite get to the end. And I think that could be curtains. Will we see a 5-lap race? We'll have to wait and see. We've already completed 86 of the allotted 91 laps that we were scheduled for after the first disconnect. Everyone's wheels are shaking. Take your hands off the wheels, everybody. Don't want any broken thumbs or fingers on our hands. I think maybe 5-lapper to see things out. That is going to be interesting. But yeah, we will just keep you updated for that. I've got a terrible case of deja vu.
Yeah, just to point out, I said to our presenter Jess when we started Creator Series that it's okay. We've got 4 hours before F1 qualifying starts. F1 qualifying starts in 5 minutes' time. As we're going again, it's 100%. Let's go. Let's reset.
Yes, 200 laps of Mexico. That's what
Here
we like
we go.
to see, everybody. Starts
at 10 p.m. We've got another hour.
Yeah,
good. Doesn't start at
not
9.
out of the woods just yet. But yeah, I think it will maybe be a 5-lapper. Alex Giller's not going to be happy about that one, unsurprisingly, because that was going to be a very straightforward win for himself. I'm interested to see what happens with Scott Taylor. Do we allow Scott back in? That's a question for us all to answer. We're going to bring all 4 of us. Oh, no, just the 2 of us. I was fooled by the wrong transition there. If we can bring everybody back, we can have a nice reunion before we get going for attempt number 3 this evening. Jess and Josh, exciting race, some good battles. Just curtailed a little bit early there.
It's like another case of deja vu. I swear this has happened an hour and a half ago. But thanks for bearing with us, everybody. I think it was Raz and Chide that was the host this time, not Tim and Marduk. So I think it shows do not disconnect if you're the host. But Josh, there was quite a lot of things happen towards the final half of the race. Do you have any clips or anything that you can share with us or any thoughts?
I mean, those final few laps got a little bit chaotic. I'm still currently in the middle of getting 1 or 2 of those sorted.
Okay.
But yeah, it felt like a very interesting race, to say the least. There were times where it kind of settled down, but then there was moments where it was very, very chaotic as well.
Yes, and I mean, there was quite a few people that were hoping it was Scott would come into the pits, but nope, he will be getting disqualified for that one. But I have to say, Alex Gillen, Tom, superb performance, superb pace, and I think he's one of the only drivers that did a 2-stop and still managed to get into the lead.
Yeah, brilliant race from himself. He wasn't on the optimal strategy either. Had to go hard or hard medium, from the time that the safety car was called out, but he worked it brilliantly and comes away with yet another victory if we aren't restarting. I'm just going to take this upon myself to have a chat about this. A lot of criticism of the wildcard, of how it's gone. I'm going to say 2 things. First of all, that's the whole point of the wildcard. We're trying things. We're not going to get it right every single time. And, you know, as we can enjoy the feedback that we get, and it's good feedback that is constructive that we get, I think saying the race is terrible every time we do a wild card that one person doesn't like, I don't think that really is the best way for us to go forward as Creator Series, because apart from Creator Series, Creator Series isn't just the content creators and the people that drive in it. It is the fans as well, because we're making content for you watching. So as much as constructive feedback is very important and we appreciate it, every time we do a wild card, people going, this is terrible, scrap it. When was the race really that bad? I don't think it was. Maybe these glasses aren't working very well, but that's just my opinion at least. Not a lot of people are going to agree with me, I imagine, but
yeah, I generally thought it was good as well. And of course, we welcome feedback from all people that are watching, and also the drivers as well had a chance to vote on some of these wild cards as well. So some of it was down to the drivers, some of it was down to someone else, but give some feedback and we can improve that for next season. I can confirm from one of our lovely people, Gareth Allen, that there's no 5-lappers for the remainder of this. The result is called due to the fact that we've done over 75% of the race. And that does mean Alex Gillen takes a win, and Concept 7, Alex, takes his first podium in the Creator Series in his rookie season. I think you'll be very pleased with that.
Sorry, that wasn't to me. Sorry, I was reading the chat. Yeah, no, it was. It was. Yes, it was a very impressive race indeed, and that is the results. I'll just read through them quickly. I was going to say Scott Taylor wins. No, he doesn't. He's disqualified.
No.
It's Lord Gillen from Concept, and then Timo Marduk, Razin, Safso, Lori Nova, Carl,
Safo's
GB,
got a penalty
Raki.
though.
Safso does have a penalty. I'm not going to work penalties out. You can work that out yourself. So that's the top 10 from that. But
I think Safso would be behind Lolly.
Yes, I think he would just be ahead of Carl. by about 7/10 of a second. And all the way down to Meraki 10th, Scotty Designs 11th, Karim 12th, Adam Sanderson 13th, and then Chappers Ricky rounds out your top 15. But there is penalties there, but that will be difficult to work out. But yeah, I think that's going to be a case of that's where it ends. It's a shame that we didn't get the last few laps of racing, because I think Carl would have brought himself up. But overall, I agree with Tom. I think that was a thoroughly good wild card. And I enjoy the fact that we actually got some wheels for racing, and it wasn't all down to the fact that, you know, one boost of ERS managed to get yourself into a position. It was properly tactical, and we actually had some good wheels for racing. So I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Generally, I had a bit of second thoughts on whether I thought that no ERS was going to be a boring race, but no, it was actually very, very clean, very tasty. There was lots of different strategies. Maybe people were using different setups to make sure that they had the low straight line speed, but make sure they had the stability in the corners. So generally, that was very good as well. I would have liked to have seen Josh Razin-Chai challenge for the podium positions, because he was about 1 second behind Timo Marduk. It's just a shame we didn't get to see the Razin-Chai Timo Marduk battle towards the end. We were robbed by that.
Round 2.
Yeah, a bit
by the way.
unfortunate. Round 2?
Round 2.
Yeah, because they made a bit of contact earlier on, which was a bit spicy.
Yeah. We were robbed of that battle, Josh. I can't believe we missed it. But oh well, maybe next week.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate. Razin did have his a few issues through the race as well. So fortunate to be coming back to a P4. I think he'll still be decently happy with that result.
Yes, indeed. And without further ado, we may as well start by interviewing our actual race winner. Not the one you saw on track, but the one that came out on top due to the rules. A massive congratulations to, once again, his second win in a row. Alex Gillen, you must be absolutely delighted with that.
No, sorry.
I'll repeat that question again. Sorry about that. I should have checked Discord. Your second race win in a row, 2-stop strategy. You must be delighted with that, considering earlier on you were complaining that you weren't on the pace.
Yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing with that. I was terrified of the old Creator Series 5-lap race at the end there, but luckily a few people were also on my side, and we ended up not restarting with 3 laps to go. But yeah, that was a really, really good race. I started, P60, P17, right down the pack, but seemed to have a good pace today. Had super low wings, went different to everybody in pretty much every stop, to be honest. Even on the second race, still went different to most people, and just kept calm today, just knew that it would come to me, didn't fight people too hard on when I had the wrong tyre, and then didn't, just was patient when I had the right tyre. And yeah, just seemed to have some good pace today. But I should say GG's to Concept 7 as well. He dominated today. Unfortunately, I had to turn up and ruin his fun, but he was super strong. He led so many laps, so he probably deserved to win today.
What made you go for the 2-stop race in the second race that we did? Because pretty much almost everybody else went for the 1-stop. Did you think you would? I think you had the confidence to get past people today, or did you think just the hards that you were on just weren't good enough for you?
Well, it's always a bit lottery as to when the safety car is going to come. You can't predict it. You just have to hope for the best. So I obviously started on hards. When the safety car came, I had to pit under it. And obviously, I had to, if I took hards, I'd have had to 2-stop. If I took mediums, as I did, I couldn't get to the end. So I was sort of forced into it effectively. I didn't necessarily plan to 2-stop from the start. I think if the safety car came, let's say 20 laps later, I might have gone mediums to the end. But as it is, I was sort of forced to 2-stop. Didn't necessarily plan it. But with the race, how the race unfolded, it was a no-brainer. And I was very glad to not see a late safety car there, because I was able to fight back through.
Yeah, I think we were all relieved there was no safety car towards the end there. And before we got started with the second race, were you a bit annoyed that you had that lobby restart at the start of it, or were you relieved that you were able to gain more positions?
It was okay. I don't know. It was fine. I don't know if I gained or lost from it, but it was obviously it meant we did a 100% race plus 19 laps, so it's been a long old evening. But other than that, I didn't mind it too much, to be honest. I definitely think with Ben's connection that we shouldn't be hosting in the future, because he had a lot of connection issues last week and then had them again today. So hopefully we'll have a new host in the future.
Yes, lessons learned. Creator Series bosses, don't get Ben into host again. What did you think of the wild card with no ERS? Because I thought it was going to be less ERS trades, but it actually proved to be quite entertaining for us in the commentary box. How was it you as a driver?
Obviously, I'm biased with the result I just got with it. My initial reaction was, I don't love it because I like ERS in F1. I think it's quite tactical. It's, if you're maybe trying to get past somebody, try and make them burn the battery so that you can get past them easier. If other people are burning, you let them do it while they battle and you get them on the next straight. It's quite tactical and I like that. And I don't love the F2 racing we get in this game that doesn't have ERS. So initially I was like, I don't know. But then honestly, once I tried it and thought about it a bit more, I thought, you know what? Yeah, maybe not for a whole season, but certainly for one race, I was happy to give it a go. And in the end, again, obviously I'm biased. I felt like the race was pretty good. I mean, it forced everyone to go super low on wing, but overtaking was possible. Maybe needed a bit of a strategic difference. I felt like the DRS trains were reduced because everyone ran such low wing. DRS is only worth a couple of tenths. It wasn't worth that much. But I know there was that huge train after the safety car restart, so maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't know. But I'm biased, but I enjoyed it.
That must have been very difficult with you running low wings in the middle sector then.
Yeah, I was on 6-0 wings, so it was actually okay, to be honest. It was, for some reason, I was quite quick for the sort of chicane in the middle, but it meant I was a rocket ship down the straight. I think I was a bit lucky today having the Haas, which is one of the quicker cars in the straight as well, but I was definitely lower wing than quite a lot of people today, and yeah, that was crucial to be able to get through.
I don't think I would have coped with 6-0 wings, so fair play. Next week, Brazil, we go to. Of course, we don't know what the wild card is yet, but what are your thoughts on this track? Because you are closing in to Marrakes now with his championship lead.
Yeah, I think I'd take second in the championship, don't I, with that, and close down on Marrakes quite significantly. I think was he outside the top 10? I think maybe somewhere on there. Brazil, I don't know. I feel like I don't go that well at Brazil, but I'm going to predict a Ben Daly win. I reckon he's overdue. He hadn't had a win over a season now. I think Ben's strong at Brazil. We'll see.
So Alex Gillen predicting a Ben win, and if Ben doesn't win, you could probably blame Alex Gillen. Only joking.
Yeah, I jinxed him. Sorry about
that. Matt, congratulations once again. Your second race win in a row, and surely closing into Marrakes on the champion. We'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening. Well done. Race winner, Alex Gillen.
Cheers, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Alex. And now we're going to get our driver that finished second in this race and had a fantastic race and his first ever podium in the Creator Series, I think a pop by popular demand as well. Please welcome for the very first time to the commentary box, Concept 7. Massive congratulations. Oh, he's not. Oh, we don't have him. Oh no, I'm being a bit of an idiot. My brain, I didn't hear my producer in there as well, but I think for the funny of it, I think we should get Scott Taylor. How about that? We should see how we thought of it. You must have had a little bit of fun towards the last half of the race. You probably didn't like that no ERS wildcard, but what made you have a little bit of fun in the end there? Because I certainly enjoyed it. And he's on mute.
Baby! I won! I won my first race! Oh my god! Did I miss something? Was like I felt like everyone was just not on their A game today. Gillen seemed to be the only one that seemed to be even close to getting it. I had a great time. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, we're doing absolutely well, thank you. It looks like you were doing a Max Verstappen
right? I went from 19th to 1st. I'll take that.
Just like Max Verstappen did in Brazil.
Exactly.
Exactly. Also, talk about that qualifying as well towards the start. It happened 2 hours ago, of course, believe it or not. You went very early out on the set of soft tyres, didn't go for that intermediate pole. Definitely paid off there with your starting in second place.
Yeah, it only gave us 5 minutes till the rain. So this is how my night went, okay? So qualified well in second place, then started the race and thought, oh, I'm going to do an undercut strategy and I'm going to pit early onto the hards and I'm going to have some fun. That turned into the lobby crashing with me in 12th place, catching everyone up, but obviously not before everyone pitted. So then I do the restart in 12th. Then what happens is I'm on the hard tires. It's just all a bit slow. I have basically 0 wings. I can't overtake anyone in 19th. And honestly, I got bored. I'm sorry. I will take the race ban. The season ban. All I know is that I am a Career Series champion. And you can't take that away from me.
But you were doing it for content. You were doing it for content. So... Right. There you go. So if people say why you were carrying on, it was just for content. Did you have a lot of fun at least when you didn't care that you were going to get disqualified?
Ah, it was so good. Although I think Lolinolba isn't the happiest with me. I had some angry Italians speaking Italian to me. So
And just to point out, you gained like 50 viewers or something.
Yes!
When I think it was like Tom said that you were using ERS and like a bunch of people were going to your stream. But anyway, jokes aside, but Brazil next week. I'm not sure if you're racing or not, depending on what the outcome of tonight. But
No.
what do you like about Brazil? What can you expect for next week, depending if you're racing or not?
Like Brazil's banging. I probably won't be there, to be honest. Between us, and this may be my last race, to be honest. It's going to be my final season, and I was like, do you know what? I'm going to have a bit of fun. So you may not see me for the rest of the season, but you know what? I went out with a bang, and I loved it. Every second of it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you end your creative series, Henry, with a little bit of fun there, of course. Thank you so much for joining us, Scott. Shame you're going to get disqualified, but we enjoyed watching you anyway, having a little bit of fun in your possible final creative series race. And of course, you started off as a commentator, so I'm kind of being a bit biased because there you go. We love Scott. Yes, Tom. So there we go. Thank you very much, Scott, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. God bless. Take care. Arrivederci. Goodbye.
Absolutely love Scott attitude there. And from one ex-commentator to another, we may as well get a clip that Carl into the commentary box to find out how his race has gone so far, if we can get him in, that is. Carl, can you hear us?
Loud and clear. Hello, everyone.
Hello. First of all, welcome him. Sadly, not a win, but 100% top 10 finish. You must be pretty happy. I'm getting the 100% theme there for you, Carl. There you go. 100% top 10 finish.
I'm happy. Honestly, I'm happy. I mean, I could be down in the doldrums about, no, I didn't get a podium, no, I didn't get a win, this, that, and the other. Ultimately, I put myself out of contention for that before it really even began. But honestly, fun race. Fun race from my end, regardless. My wheel tried to pack up its gears at one point, and I just got in my own head. You just had to weather the storm and make it happen. So, I don't know what the sentiment among others is, but probably they were quite frustrated that they just couldn't get it done. Sometimes you just have to get it done. I mean, they were second stint in particular when I had to make moves past, can't remember who it was. I think it was Kai was one of them, Lolly was another one. It was just waiting. It was playing a patient game, and ultimately people were braking extremely early. So if you could figure that out, if you could just be a bit braver and just make it happen, hell, anything was possible. But last stint was very fun. I wish it didn't crash in the last stint. I was so on for a top 5. It was agonizing. But look, I'm not going to dwell on it too much. I'm going to still take it as a positive. I think second into pole, correct me if I'm wrong, so I'm still 100% on that. Fastest lap.
Yeah, you got your into pole. There you go.
P7 because Scott got disqualified. Bless him. I'll take it. It's still a good week at the office, so I'm happy.
What made you decide to go for Inter's pole despite the fact the rain was coming soon? Did you expect that the rain was going to come that quick?
Just raw pride. Just raw pride.
Didn't care. Fair dues.
Exactly. I mean, it's an extra point on the board at the end of the day, and I mean, I could have gone for pole ultimately, but completely full disclosure, I think at the end of the day, even if I didn't go for Inter's pole, I was going to start near the back anyway. Just try something a bit different,
for fun.
see how I would have done. Exactly. For the content.
Yes.
See how I could have done cutting through the field, if it could have happened. Ultimately, it could have done at the end of the day, so I'm quite happy with that. Alex proved it was indeed possible to start pretty far back and take the win today, so congrats to him. Congrats to, I think Concept 7 got a podium as well, so massive congrats to him. Good effort in the McLaren, so well done you. Not long into Creator Series, you've got yourself a podium, so fair play to you, Maestro.
Yeah, it turns out if you get the strategy right in qualifying, then you could possibly do well in the race as well. What did you think of the no ERS wildcard with your return to Creator Series?
Oh, good question. I don't know what's resonating around the airwaves. I quite enjoyed it, truth be told. I mean, I had to get out. The main thing for me was just getting out the muscle memory. I had such a degree of muscle memory of either using certain switches to put myself into medium. Of course, I unassigned those, so it couldn't have done. Or slapping the overtake button. Again, couldn't have done that. So ultimately, it was just muscle memory. I had to get myself out of that habit. And, once I did, it gave me one less job to do, which is always nice. But, I think ultimately, I don't. I think from a viewer standpoint, it was actually quite good. To be fair, I don't know what it was like for you guys in the
It was
commentary,
brilliant.
presenting and clip corners respectively. But you know, like I say, you had to make the moves happen. Oh, I think I had a battle with Fabio in the first race. Really enjoyed that. Had to send it around the outside of Kai because ultimately that's what I had to do, and people were braking early. Again, really enjoyed that. But you just had to formulate the moves. So once you kind of did that, once you really sent it and didn't really care about DRS or whatever, I don't know what people are going to say, but as long as you didn't really care about that, as long as you took away that slight competitive edge of it, it was a fun race. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think it gave you more things to focus on with the racing, with the racecraft element, instead of just pressing the ERS button, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think, like you say, you compartmentalize everything after a while. So while you kind of, I guess you don't think about ERS too much when you play the game for a rigorous amount, it's still there. It's still in your brain, and you're still figuring out how to save battery, what modes to use at certain times, how to gain the advantage. So to take that away, to sort of take that element out of the equation and just let you fight and focus on fighting a little bit more, ultimately it was fun. And with front wing damage as well. Yes, I shot myself in the foot. We'll ignore that.
You still had
but...
pace with front wing damage, to be fair.
Thank you. Thank you.
You were
No, I
lining on
appreciate
the straights, but the middle sector must have been a bit spicy.
A little bit. I was not gonna lie. There was a slight clench going into turn 1 at pretty much every single time I had the front wing damage. But yeah, I'm so glad there was a safety car midway through. Not so glad there wasn't a safety car at the end of the race. Otherwise, ka-ching. But you only get so lucky. But hell, I like to think I had a good outing out there. I like to think I gave the people some good battles today. So I can take solace from that.
You made us proud in the commentary box. You did absolutely brilliantly. But next week, of course, we head to Brazil. Not sure if you're joining us in the commentary box or not. I think you're joining us in a few weeks' time. But what do you think about Brazil if you get called up to race? I really hope you get to race, but you never know.
Oh, bless you. I think Brazil's a fun track. Brazil is a really fun track, of course. Tyre wear is a big talking point in any space, not just league racing, but in the casual space as well. The tyre wear is insane. To do a one-stop is a bit of a brutal affair. And, it's Creator Series. There will be safety cars. I think Brazil as a track never disappoints. It always puts on a spectacle, no matter where you are, what series you're in. So I expect great things from it. I love Brazil as a track. So, hell, if I get called up again, happy days. If I don't, it's not the end of the world. I'm extremely grateful. I got to race today. Like I say, it's a very sought-after affair to race in this series, to be a part of the chaos, the fun, whatever you want to call it. And I've got to do it twice now. And for that, I can count myself extremely fortunate. So, very, very grateful. If I get to do it again next week, if I put my name down, hell, happy days. We'll run it back. But if not, I had fun this week. So, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, we certainly had a lot of fun watching you battle as well, especially towards the end. And if we don't see you next week, we'll see you in the commentary box straight after as well. So, massive congratulations, Carl. It's nice to have you back in the cockpit this time as well. It's strange, actually, interviewing you instead of you being in Clipbook Corner or commentating. But there you go. But yeah, we really enjoyed it. Congratulations on a 100% top 10 finish. Well done, Carl.
Yes. Thank you, Jessica. Appreciate your commentary box. Check out the social medias and the website on Creator Series, guys. Bye.
Nice plug from Carl there. And we may as well. I don't think we have anybody else to interview. So we've got all four of us in the commentary box to wrap up a very long broadcast. We were meant to finish at 8:30. It is now almost 9:20. But luckily, we're still able to finish in time for the real life qualifying. But what a long evening. But I feel like it was pretty successful, Tom.
Racing on F125 is objectively harder than F124. We can see that the introduction of dirty air has made it harder to follow. You do have to work harder for your overtakes. And that has changed the dynamic significantly. Now, that's the whole reason we have wildcards. That's why we brought them in 24 as well, because hard tyres were OP. We just had DRS trains. That's the whole point of, that's how they went with the direction of F124. It's been changed for 25. So I personally think this wildcard made drivers think differently. We had to see overtakes in different parts of the track. They had to be more tactful with where they went for the moves, because if you overtook someone, say, into the stadium section, they could just fly back past you with the use of DRS. So that's what we're trying to do. The racing is not perfect. I don't think anybody's saying it is. Sometimes you have to experiment with things to try and make sure you can improve the show, because that's what we're trying to put on. I think there's been a reaction that I don't think is quite necessary to the level that it was. If one person's race is bad, that doesn't mean the whole race falls down with it like a pack of cards or a castle of cards. So I think the spectacle was some really nice battles out there. We had a few stale moments in the middle of the race, but at the end of the day, F125 doesn't always provide the most engaging racing anyway.
Yeah, exactly. We always have to think of something to make the racing even better and crazier. And just a reminder to everybody watching, it's not a league. It's not a league. It's just a fun series where everyone gets to race for a little bit of fun and for content. And we enjoyed Scott towards the end having a little bit of fun there, even though he's going to get disqualified. But anyway, Alex, I think Alex Gillen is going to have a really good opportunity now to close the championship with both hands. Meraki didn't have a good race today. Alex needs to take this opportunity with both hands. Meraki needs to have a much better race next week in Brazil, doesn't he?
Yeah, he certainly does, obviously, with that big win for Mr. Gillen today. But I'm sure he can pull it off. Meraki will find some pace in a very different circuit to what we've just been to. And of course, there'll be a new wild card on the hands as well. But just backing up what Tom said, I did genuinely enjoy today's racing with the wild card. I think maybe from a driver's perspective, it wasn't as good because it's something you get stuck in DRS trains, but as a viewer's perspective and as content creation, I think it worked quite well personally. So I thoroughly enjoyed it this year. But yeah, it was this race, it was good.
This season.
This season, yeah.
Josh, you didn't have that many clips to call over compared to last week, but it was still quite a long race and still quite different strategies, different setups, and like we saw with Alex Gillen, quite a lot of people using lower wings to make sure they can be faster on the straights without any ERS.
Yeah, I think it was nice to see a bit of a contrast from Monaco. Obviously, Monaco having about 40 clips to make across that race was a bit chaotic from my side. But yeah, I think overall, this race, quite a strategic one. I think it definitely delivered here tonight.
Yes, it did. I know quite a lot of drivers didn't like it. But even us, we liked it. But again, we want to improve the wildcards to make it a good experience for creators and you alike as well. So hopefully next week's wildcard will be even more entertaining. But before we wrap up, let's look at the calendar for the remainder of the season. Because believe it or not, we don't have very long to go until the end of the season. We, of course, got Interlagos next week. And it is a sprint weekend, which means reverse grid. That should be a lot of fun, I have to say, in terms of action. Then we got a Mystery Grand Prix once again for round 8 on the 15th. Then we have got Las Vegas on the 22nd and Abu Dhabi on the 29th. So still quite a lot of action to come up for you. And of course, we've got the fan vote as well. We may have got the track wrong, but there we go. But still lots of action. Where do you think the fans, Tom, would like to see us racing?
I'm not sure because we've got some good circuits lined up. We've had some fun tracks as well. We had Monaco a couple of weeks ago. Vegas is in there, Brazil's in there. Maybe we see a Silverstone come into the equation. Maybe an Australia or a Bahrain as well to spice things up. Plenty of options, plenty of decent circuits, but you know, some of the classic Creator Series ones, your Monacos, your Vegases, they've either gone or they're coming up.
Yes, and whilst you're here, where can we find you on socials?
You can find me probably ranting about something different on Twitter and Twitter and Twitch, X maybe, at TLabo6 or on Instagram, TikTok, Wilco.darts or Wilco.coms.
Thank you very much. Alex, what about you? Where can we find your socials?
You can find me pretty much anywhere at Deflink10 on Twitter to Twitch. I say I stream, but I haven't streamed for like 3 months now because I've been very busy, but hoping to do some more soon. But yeah, find me at Deflink10 on pretty much any social media.
And the man on the clip book this evening, Josh Richards, where can we find you?
Yeah, you can find me. My Twitch is at It's Chocolate. Might be streaming from time to time over there.
Thank you very much. And of course, you can find me everywhere. I'm not going to say that all the socials, but you can find me at JessGames95 on also major social media platforms. And of course, we recently streamed on the Creator Series GG channel. So make sure you follow us on there if you haven't already. It's the brand new home for Saturday evening for our creators. So twitch.tv/creator series GG if you haven't already. Give us a follow, we'll give you a cookie. And also follow us on all of our socials there right at the top. And finally, also, this man, he's got COVID, bless him, but still manages to do a great job behind the scenes producing and seeing all the action that you got on stream, even though the action has gone on for a little bit longer than expected, but he's done a great job anyway. Massive shout out to TK for doing a splendid job behind the scenes, making sure he keeps us on the straight and narrow as well, and TK get better soon, same with Alex as well. And of course, thank you to you lot for watching at home. I've been Jess Ball, and we had Tom, Alex in the commentary box, and Josh Richards on clip. But see you soon next week for a track that we don't even know where we're going to be racing at. See you soon, everybody. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.